Our game is about more than sacrifice. Our game's about style.
Camogie is the fastest field sport in the world.
In our game, we play and create with flair.
Push, all the way through, really good.
We break records, smash ceilings and shatter expectations. We live with our own expression.
I am the best.
We turn our style into art. We set real squad goals. On and off the pitch. We follow trailblazers and legends. And our game is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We forge our own path forward.
We want the new personal best. Come on, all the way.
Because our style is substance. And our style is here to stay.
And a very good afternoon to you, and welcome here to the Clonmel Sports Field in Clonmel in County Tipperary for this Littlewoods Ireland National Camogie League Division 1 Group 2 encounter between near neighbours Tipperary and Waterford. My name is Killian Whelan, and for the next couple of hours we'll be bringing you the best of the action here as these two sides go into battle. Joining me as always on duty is Elaine Aylward. Good afternoon to you, Elaine.
Afternoon, Killian.
And thankfully, despite the weather we've had around the country, we're here bedecked in sunshine at the moment anyway.
Yeah, I think it must have rained itself out during the week here. It looks like it's going to be bright anyway for the next couple of hours here, so hopefully conducive conditions for a good game.
Yeah, and I suppose in some ways, hats off to St Mary's Hurling and Camogie Club here. It's been held in Clonmel. An unusual venue maybe for a camogie match, but probably the Waterford crew are not too unhappy. They didn't have to travel too far either.
Yeah, certainly different to being in the RAG, I suppose. Anyway, normally you associate the RAG straight away with Tip Camogie and home games. So look, a new venue for them, but as you said, not too far for any of the Waterford girls to have to travel.
No, I'm just thinking though of Clodagh McIntyre. We were looking at the sat nav and everything. I think I would be here quicker than it would be for Clodagh to get back to Laura and Dora, and that's saying something. But she is here anyway as well, and so are her other counterparts. Looking at Tipperary, firstly, Elaine, you know, coming into this game, I suppose by a good enough performance against Cork. Wouldn't have been spectacular, but a good enough game.
Yeah, I think probably finished stronger and probably learned a lot in the first 45 minutes of that game. And speaking to Bill afterwards, you know, he said he thought looking at them in training that their touch was well on and that they were hurling well, but it's really only until you come up against a team like Cork in the league that you realise really maybe where you are at. So I think Tip will have learned a lot from last weekend, and there's certainly some positives they would have taken from the game.
He has announced a few changes though, so, you know, is he maybe learned a little bit from that last quarter?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And, you know, certainly around the middle of the field, I mean, they conceded 5 points from play to Aisling Thompson and Mackie last weekend in Cork, and a new midfield partnership there today. Arena Friday was there last weekend, but I suppose she finished really strongly. Well, Tip were finishing strongly last week with 3 points, so moved a little bit closer to the goal, whether she'll stay there for the hour or not, but certainly maybe putting a bit more firepower up front to help Clodagh up there. Yeah,
we talked about Clodagh, and I saw Aoife Murray being quoted during the week that she doesn't reckon that this Tipperary move of dropping Clodagh out the field is obviously going to work, because it's going to take from inside, because she obviously was questioning whether they had the other forward ability. So what did you make of those comments?
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit robbing Peter to pay Paul really when you move Clodagh out. Like, she's fantastic all over the pitch, but I suppose it's where Tip can get the most value from her, and if they can't get the ball in quick enough to her in the full forward line, it's hard to watch her in there. But you know, with these great forwards, sometimes one ball is all she'll need in there, so maybe the bit of patience paying off to let her in there. But certainly I think with Arena Friday in beside her there today, and if she maybe drops out further around the field, we'll see a bit more ball into Cotton there.
Right, well, we'll bring you those changes as we know from shortly, but Tip on change from the team that was released during the week. Looking at Waterford, we know, I suppose, enough about these players, but we don't know what Waterford 2021 is, because this is obviously their first day out, and of course a team that sees their third management in 3 seasons.
Yeah, look, it's the first day out for Waterford. Obviously hard to predict, as you said, what to expect. I suppose going on last year, they would have been disappointed, I think, to finish in the quarter-final the way they did. I was expecting a ding-dong battle with Tip that day, and I just thought Waterford never really got to the pitch of the game, and Tip dictated and ultimately went on to the semi-final. Waterford are a team that have been there or thereabouts in the quarterfinals for the last couple of years, and I think they really need to make the step up now and make themselves maybe a semi-final team. But look, if you look at the advances Tip made last year and getting to that league final, I think it was a great confidence boost to them, and maybe if this Waterford team could get something like that, advance to the knockout stages of the league and build on that for championship. As you said, a new management set up in there again this year, so it'll be interesting to see what Derek and his management team bring to the players that we know Waterford already have.
Now, a settled enough Waterford team. I was going back looking at teams from last year and whatever. I think I went back to the game against Limerick that they played back in October, and a game that we were at. There's 13 faces starting here today of that 15. So, you know, a settled team in lots of ways, and obviously players that know how to win matches.
Absolutely, yeah, and Derek has inherited, as you said, a very settled team. They're players that have been there or thereabouts for the past number of years, and they just need something to get that final step to push them over the line to get to a last four team, or as I said, maybe to the knockout stages of a league. And I think knockout stages like that will breed confidence into these players. They obviously took a hit last year getting beaten in the quarter-final game. They would have looked at Tip maybe and thought they were capable of winning, and probably more disappointed with their performance that day rather than the actual result in the end. So look, you'd like to think they're smarting from that and that they're coming out today with a bit of bite in them. It's really a do or die game here today. You know, if Waterford are to lose or Tip to lose, they're really gone out of the league, and it's hard to get challenge matches and stuff then before championship. So it's a long couple of weeks while you wait for championship. So I think we're in for a really interesting battle here.
We're not far from throwing. So my last question to you, Vicky Falconer is back in the Waterford setup, was away for a few years studying and teaching abroad, back now with a job I believe in Tramore. You know, she was a lady that captained an Ashbourne Cup team back I think in 2015, so you know, not a bad forward to be bringing back into the mix.
Absolutely, and look, maybe that's the beauty of COVID. You know, there's certain players coming back from around the world or around from different places and have seen maybe the benefit of playing club camogie. I know a few of them were back with footballers and stuff last night with Cork and stuff, so it's great to see players of that quality back in teams. And certainly, as you said, Ashbourne Cup winner, full of confidence and fantastic player to be able to bring into that forward line.
Well, there's a lot to look forward to. Do stick with us then. Throw in here with John McDonough of Galway being the referee is at 2 o'clock. Rejoin us shortly.
Our game is about more than sacrifice. Our game's about style.
Camogie is the fastest field sport in the world.
In our game, we play and create with flair.
Push, all the way through, really good.
We break records, smash ceilings and shatter expectations. We live with our own expression. We turn our style into art. We set real squad goals. On and off the pitch. We follow trailblazers and legends. And our game is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We forge our own path forward.
We want the new personal best. Come on, all the way.
Because our style is substance. And our style is here to stay.
And you're welcome back here to the Clonmel Sports Field then. So as you can see, the Tipperary team just about getting ready, and we'll go through that team then. So Caoimhe Burke is a change from the last day. She's one of 4 changes to the Cork game. She comes in goal, the Drummond Inch player. Julianne Burke of Borrisalee, Mary Ryan of Moneygall and Clodagh Quirk of Clonalty Rossmore maintain their positions, as do Mairead Everston of Drummond Inch, Karen Kennedy of Turles Sarsfields and Aoife McGrath of Drummond Inch. At centre field, it's all changed. Caoimhe McCarthy comes in from Knockavilla Kickham's alongside Emer Lockman of Clonalty Rossmore. In the half forward line, one change. Emer McGrath into the side from Drummond Inch. Nicole Walsh of Borrisalee and Casey Hennessy switches from 10 to 12 from Clonalty Rossmore. And in the full forward line, Arena Friday moves from centre field to take up a position wearing the number 13 jersey. Cot Devan is at full forward and Clodagh McIntyre is in the other corner. So turning to Waterford then, who join us here today in Clonmel, up at the care end of the grounds here, and Brianna O'Regan is in goal of De La Salle, Sabale Harney of St Anne's, Iona Heffernan of Ferrybank, and Keely Corbett Barry of De La Salle are the full back line. It's two Galtier in the half backs, Kate Lynch and Claudia Carroll joining Lorraine Bray of Cappoquin. At centre field, it's a pairing that know each other quite well, Orla Hickey, Dungarvan and Shona Kern of Lismore. 2020 All-Star Niamh Rocket, captains from St Anne's, captains Waterford at number 10. Beck Carton, she of course a former All-Star of De La Salle, is on the 40, and outside her is her clubmate Abby Flynn. And then in the full forward line we see two changes, Ciara Sullivan of Galtier and Vicky Falconer of Tramore. What I mean by changes, two new faces into the setup for this year, and of course a lady that needs very little introduction. We would have spotted her a good bit over the last couple of years. Sarah Lacey of Dungarvan will wear the number 14 shirt. Now, as you might be thinking there, no sign of Annie Fitzgerald. Well, Annie Fitzgerald currently is on college placement in Spain. I have been told by a little birdie that she might be tuning in this afternoon, so hello to Annie if you are watching. She of course will be back for a championship, but a settled enough Waterford team with a couple of new faces under new management. And better make mention as well, of course, of the S&C team that are here working with Waterford, and they're a crew that are known quite well in the boxing circles, and I believe even have Joe Ward in their camp. So Jimmy and David Payne, well known in the, as I said, in the boxing circles in Waterford. They are part of the backroom team that Derek Lyons has put together. So let's see how, of course, this game plays out. And as you mentioned, Elaine, you know, the pressure on these sides in lots of ways, because you know, a loss here and that's it.
Yeah, you know, with only the three teams in each group in the league, it is a quick turnaround. And I suppose if you can't get through to the quarter final, if you get through, you're guaranteeing yourself another game. Whereas either team beaten here today, you would imagine, you know, Cork would obviously be favourites maybe for the Waterford game next week. But even if Waterford were to get a win over Tip with 2 defeats, would obviously finish bottom of that group. And you know, as I said, they're done then until championship.
Well, that will be, as I said, the factor that there will be a bit of pressure on here today, because Waterford then will be taking on Cork the next day, looking for some kind of points. But, well, of course, then they'd lose out on head-to-head and everything. So, if they were to lose here today, so they're conscious of putting in a good showing here. And don't forget as well that there's quite a sizable breeze coming in from the motorway end to my left-hand side as you look at it. The town end is on my right. John McDonough is the referee, and Brianna Regan will have a strong breeze to puck into as this ball breaks straight away, and going to be sent by Arena Friday, who maybe wearing 13 but has started in the middle of the field anyway there, Elaine, as this ball is on the move quickly for Tip as they attack, as I said, the clubhouse end and the town end here. And here could be an early opportunity of a goal shot back at the net for Tipperary. That was a fine effort straight from the off.
Yeah, and Arena Friday may have, or 13 may have started in the middle of the field, but she's the one that set up that ball and super ball down the line and tip straight down the heart of the Waterford defence. And you know, a terrible start for Waterford.
Terrible start indeed, and you're just coming here in the opening seconds, as you can see the replay of that there. Good goal taken from a Tipperary point of view as Waterford come down the far end, and then it's missed by Cueva Burke coming out there. This is at 6 and 7 back there, but it looks like the defence have dealt with it, and Karen Kennedy eventually using all her experience there to be able to work that out to Mulrine, and eventually it's going to be taken here by the Tip defence and cleared. But a bit of a nervous moments back there on the edge of the square.
Yeah, swung right from end to end there, and the Tip defence just a little bit caught at sea maybe, and there's been a couple of changes. I see Shauna Curran started at full forward with Beck Carton in the middle of the field, but they look to have switched back. So whether that was just a move at the start of the game, maybe just to pull Tip little bit honest, but certainly changes all over. Lorraine Bray has gone to centre back, with Clodagh Carroll gone to left half back. So you know, two teams that know themselves, know each other really, really well, I suppose. So a little bit of mind games maybe at the start with the lineouts.
Yeah, so two, as you said, they will know each other quite well, but positions have been changed. Numbers mean nothing as Beck Carton goes for this, has to put everything behind it, because that is a sizable breeze, and Beck Carton has put that ball over the bar. That's a fair effort from about 50 metres out into the teeth of that wind. Yeah,
and probably viewers at home maybe won't appreciate how strong that breeze actually is down pitch side. It really, really is strong. A little bit deceptive with the sun there, but really great free from Beth, and look, she's a solid free taker, as is Caughtavan on the other side here today.
No doubt, as trying to win that ball, Arena Friday cut off there, as Waterford now tried to build on the concession of that goal in the opening seconds. Niamh Rocket is the one that's judged by John McDonough to have, Iona Heffernan is the one judged to have been fouling there. Iona looking at him wondering what's he on about, but John clear and gives a chance here to Cot Devan, and you fancy Cot on any day of the week to be able to hit this, but when you have a sizable breeze behind you, you'd imagine it's nearly going to be in the training pitch behind the ground here.
Yeah, certainly within her range, and we saw in Páirc Uí Chaoimh last week with the wind against it, it didn't make any difference, so you'd imagine normal service here today again.
So opportunity now to hit this at the post by Cot Devan, and she put that ball up and over the bar. Good start here then from Tip. The goal coming after 20 odd seconds, and now they followed up with a point answer that Beck Carton effort. Cot Devan on the scoreboard, got 10 the last day.
Yeah, and Beck Carton has gone into full forward in on Mary Ryan, so obviously against the breeze, Waterford, will have to work harder to get the ball into her there, but she has resumed her position at full forward where we were used to seeing her over the years.
The ball over on the far line as we try to cipher over on the far side as that ball is cleared up along the wing by Aoife McGrath, drops in behind the defence there. And it's knocked as Clodagh McIntyre tried to get in the way to block that. And the referee says that there was a foul line committed further up, and it's going to be a free for Waterford. It's going to be delivered by Kate Lynch, the Galtier player. Again, lady you don't miss too often. Flowing blonde locks under the helmet as it's sent up the field, trying to be caught there by full forward Sarah Lacey. Lacey might have 14, but again dropping deep as you see all sorts of positional switches going on here at the moment, trying to get a read on them all as Waterford looking to build. Now it's going to be a long range effort. It's going to drop in front of Caoimhe Burke starting today in place of Anya Slattery. I'd imagine Bill Mullaney just giving his two goalkeepers an opportunity of run out in the league. Ball is kept in play there well by Keely Corbett-Barry, and she somehow slalomed her way out of the Tip attentions there. Loose pass though in a way, didn't give Abby Flynn much of hope, and Abby has lost the ball on the ground, but somehow has won it back, and Abby turns inside looking to get away from the attentions there of Emer McGrath, who joins her sister on the field today, and that's a free in for Waterford.
Yeah, lovely bit of play there from Keely Corbett-Barry. Did really well to pick the ball close to the line, and as you said, slalomed out between three Tip players then, and Abby Flynn then doing really well to come in and win the break.
Ball is played in by Shauna Kern then. Shauna from Lismore. Disappointed maybe that the Waterford forwards didn't do more with that ball then. And a chance for Mary Ryan to come out from the back then, popping the ball to Nicole Walsh, standing on her own 65. Ball played across the field here now, asking a lot maybe of the Tip forwards maybe to get to this, and the race has been won by Corbett-Barry. She did very, very well there. Took on a bit of a crash ball herself. Gives it on to Bray. Bray didn't even look up, popped it inside. Was expecting Sarah Lacey to get onto it, and Lacey pops it up along the wing now, looking for Beck Carton, but Mary Ryan is there to knock it back. And Mary Ryan, you would feel in the All-Ireland Championship last year, she won that battle against Beck Carton, and she's probably looking to lay down a marker here as well today. You'd have to feel, Elaine. Yeah,
a couple of really good dispossessions by Mary Ryan in that All-Ireland quarter final last year. I remember a couple coming in by the end line in the city end of the grounds in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and a couple of lovely flicks off the hurl, and that's what Mary Ryan is really good at there. And when you see her coming out with that last ball there, really good in possession and a really clever ball out.
Ball is knocked in, and it's knocked to the left and wide, so opportunity there, but you can see the breeze even is having an effect.
Yeah, and interesting to see the movement all around the field. Looks like Kate Lynch has moved back into full back to pick up Cot Devan, and she's going to follow her for the day, but there's a lot of green grass and a lot of space out in front of her.
Ball is over on the far side then as Tip try to come forward with this and give it to Devan. Devan has been well tracked there by Kate Lynch. Lynch, in fairness, did very well there to win that ball. Gives it to Heffernan. Heffernan turns up along the wing, looking to drop it down on top of Niamh Rocket. Rocket looking to get away from the attentions of Aoife McGrath. Looks to step inside, did very, very well there, Niamh Rocket, but then Karen Kennedy comes across, one All-Star up against another, and it was the Tip All-Star that won out, and it's going to be a free then subsequently out of all that. That's going to go in favour of Tipperary. It's in the hand of Arena Friday, as he said, who weren't 13, but definitely is playing in a more central role, and obviously then is using her, I would imagine, her fitness and her pace and everything to back up then if needs be in the inside line, but definitely looks like they're playing the two inside forwards.
Yeah, and a lot of space in that Tip full forward line.
Devan somehow gets a touch on that and just gets a kick off the surface and out for a 65. Must have just come off a Waterford hurl in at the same time. Just thinking as well, well, it's great in protecting goal mouths and everything, having the surface in there, the 4G, whatever you want to call it. Now, it can take an awful hop for a slitter and could go anywhere.
As a back, there's other names I like to call it in around the square in there. There's not, it mightn't be so bad on a day like today, the pitch is dry and, firm underneath, but certainly coming into the winter months, if you're used to slogging it out around the 21 and then you suddenly come in and you have a high dropping ball in on that AstroTurf and you really just can't tell where it's going to go. So, something both keepers would have had a look at there before the game today and we'll be very conscious of it.
7.5 minutes gone then as Cotavan has a shot at the post here, and Cotavan, I don't know how often she's played in Clonmel, but she knows where the posts are here anyway, and she puts another one over the bar, and that brings Tipperary on to 1-2.
Yeah, we may be able to count how many times she's played in Clonmel, but I don't think anyone will count how many points or how many scores she's got for Tip over the years.
Well, she got 10 the last day, 9 from place balls, and I'm sure she'll be chasing that tally here again today. His ball is over on the far side. John McDonough said though that the Waterford player was fouled. It's going to be a free in right in front of the Waterford dugout. Beck Carton goes across to take. It's going to be a tight enough angle here now for Beth with that breeze. As she flights this ball in, it's going to tail out though to the left and wide. That's 2 wides on the bounce here.
Yeah, and a difficult free for Bet on that occasion, right out on the sideline, as you said, right into the face of that breeze. So just trying to get it all right and just err on that occasion.
Yeah, so 2 wides now in quick succession for Waterford as they try to, as you said, bounce back from that goal concession. 1-2 to a point it is here in the Clonmel Sports Field. Home of St Mary's Hurling and Camogie Club, and also home of Clonmel Commercials GA Club, as this ball bounces out and doesn't work out for Clodagh McIntyre that time, and it's the Waterford backs that are able to burst out with Sabale Harney getting it forward, but it's Arena Friday that cuts it out and she pops it to Kennedy. Kennedy getting away from the attention there. Sarah Lacey still going. Karen Kennedy is well able to take her own score, but this ball dangerous going to drop in, but Brianna Regan using Oliver Guile just sat well, took it into her midriff and was able to pop it out here to the middle of the field. But loose pass there, you'd have to say, from Orla Hickey, and puts her other midfield partner in trouble as Cotavan gets onto the pass from Nicole Walsh and puts it over the bar. That's a giveaway from Waterford. Absolutely.
Brianna O'Regan did really, really well. Her delivery out here was absolutely inch perfect, straight into the hand, and the pop pass just went that little bit past Lorraine Bray, and no better person than Cotavan to punish.
So referee John McDonough has just called a halt to play because Kate Lynch is receiving attention. So after 10 minutes here, 1-3 to a point.
And Beck Carton now has just moved out to centre forward on Karen Kennedy. I think Karen was starting to have a real influence on that game, and we saw her going through on that run last time, and I suppose brought flashbacks to Waterford minds of the goal she scored against them down in Cork last year. So Beck Carton may be out at centre forward now just to try and curb her influence and maybe try and get into the game a little bit.
Just waiting to see now was Kate Lynch still getting attention over there.
Yeah, and obviously a huge role in Waterford's game plan today. If she is picking up Cotavan, she looks to have picked her up a full back with Iona Heffernan gone out to the wing. So, Waterford will be anxious to see Kate Lynch return to position and to full health in that position, because you need to be in the full year health to be on Cotavan on any given day.
No doubt. She's a woman to will, and there she is straight into the action, looking to challenge Abby Flynn over here. But Abby, in fairness to her, kept her wits about her, got the ball back to her centre back Clodagh Carroll, and Carroll gets it forward to Beck Carton. Carton now and Kennedy. That's going to be an interesting tussle as the ball gets to Hickey. Hickey looking to play the ball inside. Tip now got to be careful. Shona Curran trying to get up there in support, also trying to dig matters out there. Is a lady into the setup, of course, Ciara Sullivan. Rocket just sitting off the pocket as well if something was to happen here. It's on the ground. John McDonough now coming into it to see will he have to throw it in, but eventually it works its way out, and referee said it was a loose hurl there, and he decides that it was a touch on the ground some way illegally. Anyway, it's going to be a free out. Just trying to look at his hand signal
Yeah, I think maybe just blew Sarah Lacey maybe for following through just off the ball, kind of a third man tackle maybe, and took the tip player out of it. So the free to tip. Interesting to see we haven't had too many quick puck outs from wide balls or too many frees taken from the hand yet today. So again, the two rules that are in Camogie this year that I'm sure will speed up the game, and that's the reason they were introduced.
So just letting you know, goal scored in the opening 20 seconds. We're crediting Clodagh McIntyre with it, and we're still trying to identify. There was all the white helmets over on that side of the field at the time when cut inside, so I don't know if anyone at home might have a clear run of it. It was just impossible to make out. It happened so quickly. And by my reckoning, looking at the boots there, that looks like 15 on the back there. So might get Dave to throw up a replay of it there again when we have a hold up maybe. And I think definitely can confirm that it was Clodagh that got that goal. She should be able to stand out with the white boots and the orange laces as well. As coming forward now, our tip, and they're moving quite well here now. The ball is inside, and here goes McIntyre. Could she get a second one? Going to go low. Good stop by O'Regan. Referee's going to call it back though. Probably a little bit higher this time. Brianna O'Regan had no hope with the first one. It was so low, right to the bottom corner. As we watch the opportunity, then the layoff pass. McIntyre coming in. She just caught it that little bit high, and it was a perfect height for Brianna O'Regan to deflect away. But call back for a free that Cottevan is about to take.
Yeah, head high up Brianna O'Regan, but did really well to react to it quickly and avert the danger. And you know, if the advantage had run on in maybe another second or two, it had hopped nicely on the AstroTurf there in front of the oncoming tip forward. So you know, Waterford maybe would have let off there.
Cottevan taps the ball over the bar, and if you're going to give away easy frees, she's going to put them over.
Absolutely, and look, as we saw, they don't even have to be that easy for Cott to put them on. You know, anything, especially with that breeze behind her, anything from midfield back is probably well within her range.
So Tipperary really have built on that goal, but they do have a sizable breeze behind them, and Waterford got to be mindful of that as Cottevan slips away from the tackle at Kate Lynch and drops it in and drops it over the bar. And I don't know if Cottevan was down in Clonmel during the week, was she? Because
I don't know, is there enough adjectives you could use to describe that? The way she took that ball just in front of Kate Lynch and pivoted in such a tiny space, like she was facing the sideline when she gathered that ball, and just spun away from her, and a great strike from distance and from an angle and over the bar.
I know the Littlewoods campaign about changing the narrative and knowing the names of the players. Well, there's one player you're going to know in the opening quarter of an hour here. She already has 5 points to her name, 2 fine efforts from play, 3 from place balls, and the name is Cottevan. She lines out at full forward. She wears number 14, and she is from the Clonalty Rossmore club. And I think fair to say she'd get in every county team in the country. As here's another lady that mightn't be far off that as well. Beth Carton trying to get forward. Hasn't really got a whole lot of the ball so far. She runs that ball over the line. She's not happy with the lineswoman over on the far side. We're just going to show you that goal in the opening stages then. Came so quickly. It was a quick ball by Arena Friday. Popped in, and McIntyre just went through the gap and controlled it lovely beyond Brianna O'Regan in the goal. As John McDonough, the referee, calls for the water break. And maybe before the end of it, we'll get an opportunity to watch that goal again, because it was a fine goal, and really it's tip what they've built on since.
Absolutely, and look, maybe it's a sign of Waterford, maybe a little bit at 6s and 7s at the back there. We'd be used to seeing Iona Heffernan at full back there, and she commands that full back position, but she had obviously gone out to wing back to allow Kate Lynch to pick up Cottevan on the edge of the square. So maybe just a little bit of confusion in the Waterford backs, but certainly a brilliant win by Arena Friday in the middle of the field to set up the tip play and to let the ball in, and a great finish, as you said. Brianna O'Regan with no chance in the Waterford goal.
There we go. We're just going to have a look at this then again. So slow motion here, thanks to David and the in-trade team. So we're calling that, by the white boots and everything and the fluorescent laces that we've identified in the last while, that it was Clodagh McIntyre coming in. Then that's a trajectory run that she's had to make there, Elaine, no question about it. Right through, though, good diagonal run, and then just on the parallelogram, places that ball. You probably can't see the ball, but you can see it hit the back of the net there. And the umpires, no doubt about it, that ball was in the back of the net, and that came after about 20 odd seconds here. But straight away, I wonder, was it a rehearsed move nearly in some way? Because Friday got on the break and it was a diagonal ball, and McIntyre just quickly turned. That obviously did cause so much confusion, maybe in the Waterford defence, maybe in the setup, that they utilised it.
Yeah, and it didn't initially look like a very dangerous ball. You know, it was down the line, she was facing the sideline as she gathered it, but once she turned her player, the Waterford defence just opened up in front of them. And as you said, you know, if they've been assigned player marking roles in there, maybe they're so conscious of who they're on, that just how quick it happened that the play just got away from them and the opportunity arose, and Clodagh finished it to the net. And you know, that's what you want a good forward in there to do when the opportunity presents itself, to go for the jugular, and that's exactly what she did. And Tip really in the ascendancy since then.
Just to let you know, of course, that unlike the hurling, the clock continues on in the camogie. We saw clarity on that during the week, so just in case you're wondering, our clock keeps continuing, and then it'll be factored into the injury time at the end. So ball over on the far side anyway, ends up in a sideline ball. They spent an awful lot of time over at that Waterford dugout as Mary Ryan gets it down over on the far side then, where Emer McGrath picks it up. Sister Aoife playing on the team as well. And they have Maria Deveston and Miriam Campion all connected to the McGraths as well, involved in this Tipperary panel. Ball over on the far side. The breeze is obviously having a factor. We've seen very little play over here. Shane and Luca are our cameramen today, doing their best now to pick out Tip players over on the far side of the field. Hopefully you're enjoying it on the Littlewoods Twitter page and the Camogie Association YouTube channel, as that ball is played in by Clodagh McIntyre, and that's Tip's first wide.
Yeah, and it was a super ball across from the sideline, and Clodagh McIntyre did really well to just leave the ball, beat herself and Chevelle Harney, and just turn to pick it up then, but the finish didn't quite match the build up.
And you just got it again to show, is it Tip's dominance or is the breeze having I call it a wind maybe more than a breeze now, is it having such an impact here in this game? Because Waterford have only really had 4 attacks, 1 dropping short, 2 wide, and 1 point for Bet Carton that came ultimately from a free, as Iona Heffernan tries to win that ball and give it out. Lorraine Bray, former All-Star as well, getting the ball out here. Clodagh Carroll left it behind her now, and there's an opportunity for Caoimhe McCarthy, the Knockavilla Kickham's player, to get forward, but that's good bit of play back there by Chevelle Harney, and Chevelle then fouled the ball though. Chevelle, from seeing her in college and playing with Waterford, she's a no-nonsense cornerback in fairness. Yeah,
credit to the Waterford full back line. You know, they're playing really well. They're under sustained pressure, but just as you mentioned, the win there, Brianna O'Regan opting to go short with that bucket, and Waterford really put themselves under pressure. You know, they spent the last maybe minute and a half there trying to work that ball out, and that's energy sapping. And you know, it's a hard physical contest, and if you can't get the ball out past your own 45 without that kind of hard work, it is energy sapping. And as you said, you're turned over then, and you give opportunities to the likes of Cotavan to punish you on the scoreboard.
And she'll keep punishing you and punishing you if you give that opportunity. Cotavan lining it up then with the ball wall here at Clonmel, puts that ball up and over the bar, and that brings Tip on to a score of 1-6, and Cotavan has got those 6 points. 4 from place balls, 2 from play. 21 minutes gone. I nearly run out of room for Cotavan in this first half in the notes, as Lorraine Breno trying to take the fight to Tip, coming forward. Referee says that she was fouled there, and I think it's going to be a name check for Karen Kennedy.
Yeah, Lorraine Bray really storming into the game in the last couple of minutes there, and you know, those long runs that obviously Waterford will be looking to get on the end of and get the likes of Niamh Rocket and Beck Carton on the end of, but she's such a versatile player, you know, so good in defence, and we saw her tracking back on the previous occasion just prior to that free, and then on that occasion driving forward, so a real key player for Waterford.
Orla Hickey of Dungarvan then will be on the 65 when she hits it as hard as she can, and it drops on the 20-metre line, trying to get a hand on it there was Carton. Ball breaks now, trying to jink and jive, and Rocket coming on to the break, looking to send it towards the post, but it's another wide for Waterford. And you don't want it eating into their confidence here. If they can get the half time still in touch though, it will be important.
Yeah, as you said, that breeze is a really strong breeze out there, and you know, given that Tip have had the benefit of a game last weekend. Waterford are still in their first 20 minutes of competitive camogie this year, so there's bound to be a little bit of rustiness there maybe before they get into the swing of things. But you'd like to think maybe if they turn at half time and get the breeze behind them and have a little bit more experience of league camogie, that they'll trouble that Tip scoreboard a little bit more.
Good play by Abby Flynn. They won the ball ahead of Beck Carton, getting it over here to Sarah Lacey. Lacey didn't really look though as she tried to play it to Shauna Curran. Curran ships it off now to Beck Carton, turning back in on an angle. If they got the score, they have, and that was probably the first bit of decent Waterford play we've seen.
Yeah, fantastic bit of play, and all created by Abby Flynn there with her run from through the centre off to Shauna Curran, and the experience of Shauna Curran to know that Beck Carton was coming off her shoulder, and like a great shot from Bet out on the sideline.
That looks like a harsh call there on Lorraine Bray getting in and winning that ball. John McDonough is giving a free in, and again the free count significant in Tip's favour, and as we keep saying it, you don't want to be giving this lady shots at goal, and she's nearly had every angle I think covered now in Clonmel Sportsfield here so far. This to bring her tally to 7. And straight away the road's the good work down the other end. Absolutely,
it was a great score from Waterford, a real confidence boost, and turn around and go up the field then, and it's marked off the scoreboard straight away from what is an easy score for a Tip, given Cotavan a free 30 yards out in front of the goal. You need to make Tip earn their scores a little bit more.
So 7 she's got. She got 10 against Cork. She got 7 all right here in the first 23 minutes. 5 from place balls. It's over on the far side. The goal come from Clodagh McIntyre after 27 seconds. All the 7 points from Cotavan, and all of Waterford's 2 points from Bet Carton. 1 from free, 1 from place ball. As John McDonough goes over and elects that it was getting too messy over there, he's going to throw the ball in between Karen Kennedy and Bet Carton. 6 is Karen Kennedy, 11 is Bet Carton. 1's from Tip, 1's from Waterford. And it was a Waterford lady that won it, but she's lost it on the ground, and she gets in there to get a knock on it, and she sends it up along the line, but it's an opportunity maybe Waterford could build on it here now. Lacey looking to play this ball inside. Went over the head though of Shauna Curran, and Shauna been played now in as a full forward, and maybe long ball in, hoping that she wins it, and then maybe the support play of Rocket and others in that help. But I really think she'd be more beneficial to Waterford ultimately in the middle of the field.
Yeah, Shauna's a great striker of the ball, and maybe against the wind there, she's not getting on enough ball from the middle of the field to get it into the likes of Beth Carton inside. But inside on the edge of the square, I suppose she's a different prospect to Mary Ryan from what Beth Carton would be. But definitely Mary Ryan coming out on top there at the moment, as you would expect an all-star full-back to do.
Caught the Van Den, sending it towards the right hand upright, and it's drifting in and over the bar. Another score, make that 8 in 25 minutes.
Yeah, again, look, you can't give these opportunities to Cotavan. You need to make her work harder, and the credit her, she was the one that won that free herself, so she's not standing up to take the easy frees following the work of others. She's throwing herself around out there and getting on the ball and forcing Waterford to foul.
Hickey now playing it up along the wing, trying to get it inside. There was Ione Heffernan, who might have 3 on her back foot. She's up around the middle at the moment as the ball played forward, and it looks like it's come out off a Waterford stick, and it's going to be a Tip sideline. It looks like Emer McGrath is going over to take his sheet. No, looked like she was jogging in that direction, but it's number 12, in fact, that is taking the course. That's Casey Hennessy. She wore 10 last week, wearing 12, but not a great cut, and Iona is able to send it down along the far side, but Kennedy is there, Karen Kennedy, that is, to be able to pick the ball up and give it back to Clodagh Quirk, who knocks it up long here, looking for the other Clodagh McIntyre, that is. Plays it away from Nicole Walsh, and Clodagh now going, has a bit of pace, got the goal in the early stages, got one save from Brianna O'Regan. Is she going to tap it over the bar? She has, and that's a fine effort. Brianna, I have to say, Clodagh and Cotavan causing Waterford all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, and I suppose it just comes to show the amount of space that they have inside there, that when they turn their player out the field, it does open up in front of them, and you feel there maybe if Clodagh needed to on that occasion, she could have kept going towards the goal, but with the previous wide, maybe happy to just tap it over the bar, but certainly exploiting the space that's in that Waterford full back line.
Yeah, well, to me, Waterford are very unsettled because, you see Iona Heffernan being played ultimately out of position, centre of the field, one of their pillars there, out of position at the moment. It looks like, Tip have won the psychological, tactical battle too, haven't they?
Yeah, and you'd have to say the concession of that early goal was kind of a sign maybe of what was to come from Tipperary, given that they had that confusion in the Waterford defence, but credit to Sarah Lacey, she really is taking the game to Waterford up, or to Tipperary up front there for Waterford at the moment.
Yeah, but having to do it from too far out, and maybe the wind is playing that factor. 1-9 to 2. Sizable breeze behind them then as they attack the town end here, trying to take it in under control. There is Casey Hennessy going for a long range effort. It's a dangerous ball. Brianna O'Regan comes out, gets a flick down on it, but the ball is on the ground, could go anywhere. Opportunity there for McGrath, hits the deck, could have been considered by the referee there, but John McDonough, as McGrath is down injured now after getting a nudge in the back. I think Siobhan Harney, she did what a cornerback does. Thou shall not pass.
Yeah, you mentioned it beforehand in commentary there that they were ruthless in that full back line, and look, when the ball is hopping around there, I suppose you do have to be ruthless, and Waterford did really well to come away without conceding a score there.
Loose pass from Hickey, then gives it off Mulrine, taken in. Break might work out for Tipperary here. Devan is on it on the top of the D, kicks it on ahead of her. Ball is still maybe there for Mulrine, who's drifted up from full back. She's well able to take a score, and she has taken one in Clonmel as well. Mulrine had drifted up, was involved in the earlier move, and then was on the break. Decided to stay where she was in the pocket then to take the pass.
Yeah, we spoke about Caught Devan maybe needing a little bit more support up front. We probably didn't think it was going to come from Mulrine at full back, but you know, Mull has played in a lot of positions over the year for Tipperary out around the middle of the field when they needed her half back line, and well known from those positions to get up and get a score. So when the opportunity presented itself there, two of Tip's most experience combining to push them further ahead.
You'd have to worry for Waterford, Elaine. You're thinking about a half time what Derek and his management are going to think. Like, Waterford have really struggled to get into this game. The goals seem to puncture them an awful lot. The breeze then is a major factor as well, and but they're drifting so far behind now at this stage.
Yeah, they're having to drift further out the field to gain possession, and you know, against the breeze then you're not going to make any inroads on the scoreboard. So you know, they don't really seem to have any real game plan, I suppose, against that breeze. And Beck Carton is in and out of the game. She's in at full forward, she's out in the half forward line, and maybe just at this occasion just better to settle on a team and settle in positions and try and get into this game and keep in touch with Tip to half time, get in at half time and then reassess with the breeze behind them in the second half. You know, as I said, it's their first half now of competitive hurling this year, so it's bound to have, you know, you're waiting for them maybe to come up to the pace of the game. Tip having the game against Cork last week obviously have hit the ground running that little bit harder, but they'll have to stop conceding frees at the back. I mean, as we said, Caught standing over another one now, and you know, you just can't afford to be giving away free shots to any free taker at this level.
55 metres out, puts up a good bit of wind on it and dripping it towards the post. The umpires like it. She's put another one over the bar. Is there any angle and any distance she can't score from at the moment?
I'm not so sure. Is there any pitch? No. You know, as I said, a fantastic free taker, and at this level you just can't afford to be giving free shots to free takers. They're expert, you know, they're professional in their game. They're going to score them from all over the place, so you need to make Tip work harder for their scores.
Abby Flynn on the top of the D, looking to give it off to Rocket, but that's a good bit of play there by the Tip defence with Kirk trying to get in there and knock it away. Opportunity maybe still presenting itself for Waterford though, and it's stepping into it there. Claudia Carroll, the Galtier player, playing it across now towards Rocket, but the ball gets away from her and looking to build out on it now. Tip again. Caught Devan has 9 in this first half, but here's a ball again to the lady that got the first score of the game. That was a goal after 20 seconds. Looking to turn to Claudia McIntyre. Ball breaks off of Siobhan Harney. Harney uses all the body to get it legally, I would have thought, in the way of that one, but John McDonough quite happy for the play to continue, and Waterford are going to build out here from the back. It's going to be in the hands of Claudia Carroll. Referee says there was a foul committed there, but surely Siobhan Harney committed one.
Yeah, I think you could sense the panic in that Waterford full back line again once that ball came in. Siobhan Harney found herself on the wrong side of Claudia McIntyre, and having seen her give a clean pair of heels on occasion already in the first half, did everything she could to stop her making any inroads towards that goal.
Aoife McGrath knocking that ball out as Beck Carton tried to get position. You'd feel Waterford need a score just before the break here. Ball was played inside, and Sarah Lacey was going for it, but there was a little bit of a third man tackle, and one of the more diminutive ladies on the field guilty of that one, Emer Lockman.
Yeah, just stepping across the Waterford player maybe just to slow things up a little bit, realised that the quick puck out had gone past her, or the quick sideline.
Carton plays it low towards Rocket. Rocket tried to get attention, but it was getting a little bit of a nudge in the back from Kirk at the same time as Waterford trying to get on it up on the far side of the field. Ciara O'Sullivan, one of the young stars here at this Waterford setup, into the team and looking to make an impression, but struggling at the moment as Tip seem to have all the answers, all the running off the ball, all the first hand touches, all going well for Tip as McIntyre looks to run Siobhan Harney again, but it's red this time, but the Tip defence have got through. Here's an opportunity for McGrath. What a goal, what a bit of play, what a bit of ingenuity.
Yeah, really, really clever play from Clodagh McIntyre there. Knew the ball was coming at pace and allowed it to beat her and her player, and really, really good teamwork then from Mimi McGrath sweeping in behind just to pick up. And, Waterford will be a bit disappointed they didn't deal with it a little bit better with that, but credit to them, it's been coming, it's been threatening there for the last couple of minutes, and Emer McGrath did really, really well to finish that really coolly to Brianna O'Regan's net.
So 2-11 then on the scoreboard to 2 points, and this game you'd feel is gone from Waterford now. And unfortunately for them, that's unless they work some miracle next week against Cork, but that won't make much of a difference, I don't think either. And it's a shame to think that your season at this stage could be done and dusted after a half an hour play where you just really haven't got to the pitch of it.
Yeah, and look, it's hard to do. Like Waterford, new management team haven't got to meet their players for most of the winter, and then maybe 3 or 4 weeks training back together collectively. So it's hard to know coming into a game, I suppose, what you're at. As Bill Mullaney said, they didn't really know last week until they got up to Cork and found Cork that little bit step ahead of them. And Waterford, unfortunately, are finding themselves a couple of steps behind Tipperary here today. And no doubt the game last weekend did bring on Tip and did let them see where they were at. And I suppose they had a better idea during the week maybe what they needed to do to get up to the pitch of the game that they were playing at, whereas Waterford are coming in probably a little bit blind.
Rena Friday playing a diagonal ball across now. Lorraine Bray looking to step in the pocket now to stop that ball getting through to McGrath, who's interchanged in there. She has a shot at the post. Not too many wides for Tip in this first half, but that is their second.
Yeah, lovely little play from McGrath there. Controlled the ball really, really well, deadened it on the hurl and spun and took the shot and just dropped it, I suppose, to the right and wide. And as you said, one of the few that Tip have had in this first half.
2-11 to 2 points in 33 minutes gone. Touched on the ground there by a Tip player, and Waterford needs something to happen. But as we said, stiff enough breeze coming in off the motorway end of the ground, off in the Care Cashel direction. The South Tip Hospital up on the hill right in front of us here, as we are in the Clonmel Sports Field, not in the Rag. I believe work being done on the pitch in the Rag. I'm sure we'll see it at some point this year. As we are in the Clonmel Sports Field, as I said, and probably Clonmel closer for a lot of the Waterford girls than it was for some of the Tip girls. But I suppose a great day for the St Mary's Camogie Club that they're getting to host this game in the Littlewoods National Camogie League. As Tip turned that ball over, and it's Devan trying to get it forward. Referee says it was foul there by McIntyre on Sabale Harney. Harney was perfectly entitled to take that quick. Tip player stood across her, and that ball surely should be brought forward.
Yeah, I think referee John McDonough maybe just had turned his back, maybe to just set himself up for the free, and Chevelle maybe between two minds as to whether she was to take it or not. But Tip used it to slow down the play, and Chevelle really alert to Clodagh McIntyre's trick there, trying to let the ball beat her and trying to get out in front of her on this occasion.
Ball played inside now, looking for an opportunity for Ciara O'Sullivan. The ball drops now. O'Sullivan, a goal might do for Waterford here if they were to work something out. Abby Flynn trying to get in there, but it's still going. Abby Flynn trying to slalom her way through. She's very close to the end line. John McDonough says, I think it's going to be a free in. And, Waterford have only got 2 scores in this game. After the second minute and after the 22nd minute from Bet Carton. A chance here to get one after the 35th minute now. You feel they need something bigger than just a point, though.
Yeah, a good opportunity there for Abby Flynn, maybe going in along the end line and Tip with no hesitation to pull her down. A goal obviously would have been nice for Waterford coming up to half time, but they may have to settle for a Bet Carton free.
Bet Carton then with the 3 scores for Tip or Waterford here in this first half. Time continues to tick on as John McDonough decides then to call a halt, and there is half time. Then it has been all Tip, and realistically they haven't had to get out of maybe third gear, I would feel, but just their touch, their movement off the ball, running, everything, support play, tactically just ahead of Waterford.
Yeah, they are, and the scoreboard is harsh reading from a Waterford point of view, but it's probably reflective of the way the game has gone. I was watching Tip in the warm-up there, and I just felt there was a good buzz about them. They were moving quick, they were all moving fluid, they all knew what they were about, and we saw that straight from the throw-in. Like we said, Arena Friday got onto that ball, and then that fantastic goal that really, really set them up, and I suppose buoyed them with confidence and knocked the stuffing a little bit out of Waterford. It's tough coming out in your first game. I suppose you're meeting Tip, who've already had a game under their belt. You've got a new management. You've only been together maybe collectively training for a couple of weeks. You don't really know where you're at, and suddenly you find yourself on the wrong end of 2-11 to 3 points after your first hour or first half an hour of camogie.
Yeah, we're just looking at this goal again. Then it came in 15 seconds, and Clodagh McIntyre, she covered that ground in an Olympic pace, nearly getting away from the Waterford defence. Then, just as she got on the edge of the big square, has the shot off, and it was gone beyond Brianna O'Regan. And as you can see, nestling in the bottom corner of that net, and really tip built from that then.
Yeah, and when you see it again there, you'd be used to, as we said, Iona Heffernan at full back, Clodagh Carl at centre back last year, and both of those were out of those central positions for throw-in today. When they picked up different players around the full back line, the half back line, and maybe that had a little bit of impact on it. But credit to Tipperary, and as I said, when Clodagh McIntyre saw the space open up in front of her, did really, really well. As you said, moved away at pace and finished it so well to Brianna O'Regan's goal.
And the second goal then coming up, McIntyre involved again. It was probably loose from Keely Corbett Barry then as she came across the try and cleared, and breaking onto it was Emer McGrath in the team starting today, and the drum and inch pair with Brianna O'Regan coming out. She placed it lovely to the top corner.
Yeah, lovely finish. Just watching it again there, you really appreciate it. But again, Waterford will be disappointed they didn't deal better with that ball. They've allowed a lot of space in there for that tip full forward line, and it's dangerous. And when you get breaks like that, they should probably have cleaned that up. Security first of all, maybe secure the ball and then look at clearing it, but letting the opportunities arise there, and those tip forwards will punish you. And again, a fantastic finish from Emer McGrath, placed it really, really well.
Yeah, so that's the two goals then that have been scored here at 2-11, 2-3 points. If you're Derek Lyons down there now, you're looking at it's a massive ask, and you'd imagine even if Waterford get a bit of a run here in Tipperary will close it down. So what's his target now for the second half?
Yeah, look, they need to get scores on the board, I suppose. And do you twist or do you stick with Beck Carton? I know they have a strong breeze behind them there. Brianna O'Regan's puck outs, if she gets them, are going to travel at distance. So do you gamble on leaving Beth inside in that full forward line, trying to give her as much space as possible, and try maybe to get a couple of goals and get back into this game? On the other hand, she's going in full forward on an all-star in Mary Ryan, and they'll have a ding-dong battle in there, but you couldn't put money on Beth coming out on top of it. So Waterford probably need to see a bit more from the likes of Shauna Kerr, and maybe Niamh Rocket get on a little bit more ball. And Lorraine Bray is playing at centre back, so obviously she's trying to hold down the middle there, watch that space behind her where Caught Devan is, and so she's probably taken out as an attacking option driving forward for Waterford. So look, I think if Waterford can get a couple of scores on the board early, but they are going to have to shut down Tip a lot more at the back and stop conceding the frees that they have conceded in that first half.
Okay, the views then of Kilkenny legend, I should say, Elaine Aylward, and matters thinking of Tipperary and Waterford here this afternoon sees Tipperary, of course, leading by 2-11 to 3 points. Hopefully you're enjoying the fair. Probably isn't that overly enjoyable if you're a Waterford fan when you're expecting maybe that something was going to happen here today for your side. But at half time, as we take a break here from the Clonmel Sports Field, it is Tipperary 2-11, Waterford 3 points.
Our game is about more than sacrifice. Our game's about style.
Camogie is the fastest field sport in the world.
In our game, we play and create with flair.
Push, all the way through, really good.
We break records, smash ceilings, and shatter expectations. We live with our own expression. We turn our style into art. We set real squad goals. On and off the pitch. We follow trailblazers and legends. And our game is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We forge our own path forward.
We want the new personal best. Come on, all the way. Yes.
Because our style is substance. And our style is here to stay. Our game's about style. We forge our own path forward. Because our style is substance.
Welcome back to Clonmel Sports Field then here in Clonmel, County Tipperary. Hopefully you're watching the action on the Camogie Association YouTube page or also on Littlewoods Ireland and their Twitter account. Changing the narrative is what it's all about, and style over substance. That's what we're trying to do here today. Changing the narrative and maybe see a bit of style as well. We've seen plenty of that, I think, from one player in particular on the tip field, and that of course being Cottevan. 9 points were named so far in this encounter, but Waterford now with the breeze behind them in this second half. Wonder will they see a different side. They've made, I think, 1 or 2 changes, and we'll just bring you those in a moment as the opportunity comes early here from Sarah Lacey, but it drops into the graceful hands of Caoimhe Burke, who didn't have a whole lot to do in that first half, and she gets the ball out here. Rena Friday, that is, looking to pop the ball off. And it's a good clearance there from Mairead Deveston, the Drummond Inch player. Cousin, of course, of the McGraths, who played her camogie with Drummond Inch, but of course would be more well known out around Knockmore, Castleiney. So, side and cut to be taken. And a bit of a miss hit early doors there from Clara Griffin, but she recovered with this ball on the move. Looking to get in there, Abby Flynn. A couple of tip players around it as well, as Karen Kennedy being one of them. Also, the goal scorer, Emer McGrath. She's one of the 2 goal scorers that we've had, Clodagh McIntyre the other. But it's Waterford that break out with it. And the need, you'd have to feel, Elaine, they need something early here.
Yeah, and look, it's hard to see. Beth Carton has started at centre forward, but we see her already here now on the ball on her own 65 already, and what that does from a Waterford point of view is it pulls Karen Kennedy further up the field as well, and we know she's well capable of getting a score from out around there too.
Niamh Rocket now trying to get outside. Clodagh Quirk knocking the ball across the field. Drops though, it might work out here. Still an opportunity for the returning Vicky Falconer. Has the shot, puts it over the bar. In fairness to Vicky, getting that ball. Lady, the captain, of course, WAT to an Ashbourne Cup back in 2015. Was away for a few years, back in the setup, and puts that ball over the bar. Yeah,
and certainly thought, I think, about going for something maybe a little bit bigger when she turned the player there, but just took the hit and happy to strike it over off her left and over the bar.
2-11 to 3, it's now 2-11 to 4 in the opening stages, but you'd feel Waterford need to maybe find the back of the onion sack a little bit early doors here, as at least they're starting to build on it. Bet now looking to spread this ball across, looking for a bit of movement and help from Sarah Lacey, the Dungarvan player, looking to offload it out to Falconer, but she loses sight of it, looking to go back in on it and kick it away, but there are the tip defence in numbers, trying to keep it away from her, one of them being Emer Lockman. Lockman hit the deck and the ball is on the ground. It looks like a Waterford player has it though, and it's Shauna Kern that comes up with it. Dropping the ball inside now. Here goes Niamh Rocket. Opportunity getting away from Quirk. Going to have a shot. Surely was held up with the ball. Yes, the referee is going to give the free, but he's given it back further out the field.
Yeah, he'd given the advantage initially to Shauna Kern when she won possession, and had left the advantage play on, I think, and left Rocket get away with the shot.
Just looking at that as it all broke out. If Niamh Rocket, we saw her score goals in last year's championship, looked to get inside Clodagh Quirk. Quirk did, in fairness, held her up. Caoimhe Burke though nearly let it go under her body, but it was coming back for the original free, and Beck Carton has an early chance here and puts that ball over the bar. It's one thing though I find, Elaine, I don't know about you, the advantage rule works obviously on occasion, but if there's a worse foul committed for later on the advantage, surely it should be for that one.
Yeah, and my understanding of the rule book is that it should probably, whereas the advantage it's further on, the initial foul was there, but if you're fouled again, surely the next free should be the one that you take, and that certainly would have been a stronger advantage, you would imagine, to Waterford.
But anyway, the ball is put over the bar by Beck Carton. And it's now 5 points for them. They've got 2 since the half-time break, so I suppose that's a positive. But when you have Cottevan on the other side,
Yeah, they had started to chip away, at that tip lead it is significantly, but they had tipped away with it and had strung some good passages of play together, but then to turn around, I suppose, and concede a free to Cotavan.
Cotavan then into that wind and puts the ball over the bar. It doesn't matter, that's 10 for today.
Put it over the bar and with plenty to spare, it hit the net behind the goal there as well, so you'd imagine anything that comes from around midfield is well within her range, even against that wind.
Cotavan then with 10 points like she did down in Cork, and a similar enough situation. She's 8 from place balls. Ball is with Beck Carton though, another lady that's well able to hit them, and could potentially knock it over the bar from here, but she's looking for movement because I think Beth is thinking we need goals maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And look, I know we spoke about her maybe being inside in the full forward line to produce them, but if she can pull the strings out around the middle of the field and is winning those frees and getting those good balls into that full forward line, then maybe that's the role Waterford need her to play.
On the field of play is Shauna Fitzgerald looking to win this ball and give it back to Rocket, and Rocket looking to come in along the end line now. She's still going, looking to play it across. It's a dangerous ball. Waterford looking to get in there and get a shot off. Ball is still in the hands and just put over the bar. And I suppose a good bit of Waterford play there with the ball eventually going over the bar from Ciara O'Sullivan. Tipped the fence back in numbers though. Yeah,
Waterford did really well there, and Niamh Rocket did really well to come in along the end line. I know she had a caught twice, maybe could have kept going herself and chance maybe a flick off the hurl, but played a really, really good ball across, and the Waterford players coming in supporting Ciara O'Sullivan with the point.
So 2-12-6 looks a little bit better. You'd feel though they need, as we said, a major on the scoreboard as the break works out for Clara Griffin, who seems to have made a bit of an impact since she's come in, and the ball breaks for Carton now, looking to drive it forward. The Waterford forwards you'd have to feel though an awful lot bunched there in the top of the D. Could have really done with somebody running off the left hand side. Mulrine though in good position to be able to pass this ball off now into possession. It's maintained by the tip defence and the play it forward, but it's cut out by Waterford now. On the charge, Carton pulls the handbrake a little bit and goes back and gives it to Curran. Curran steps inside, still going. Shona Curran then plays the ball over to this side of the field. Opportunity here for Sarah Lacey, the Dungarvan player looking to step in. 2 tackles, went on her left, back on her right. That's a fine bit of skill from Sarah Lacey.
Super, and it was her second option. I think initially when she got that ball she was thinking of taking on Mary Ryan and heading for the goal, but the call from Shona Curran out the field and pushed it back onto her left and onto her right and a great score for Waterford. And they really have had the lion's share of possession now since half time.
On to 7 points, Waterford go now, and all the full forward line for Waterford have scored since half time. Vicky Falconer on 32, Ciara Sullivan 36, and now Sarah Lacey on the 37th minute. 2-12-7, a bit more like it from Waterford. Ball breaks forward now. Tip, maybe that breeze is significant. I asked Shane here at half time, did he think it was a 14-point breeze? Well, we'll know maybe in the next few minutes as it's going to be cleared by Keely Corbett Barry down along the far side looking for Rocket, but it's cut off there by Claudia Quirker. Interesting battle between those two. Kennedy looking for it, and then eventually Aoife McGrath. McGrath up along the line, looking for the tip players to maybe create a bit of space to be able to launch it into for this lady. Caught the van, but she didn't catch it in full, I would imagine, but it still could work out. McIntyre's in there, but the referee says that there was a foul committed late on. Was it on the van when she delivered that in long, and he's calling it back for a free, and Caught the van will have time to set herself up and have a go at these posts.
Yeah, I think Kate Lynch maybe had been a bit overzealous in the tackle there as Cotavan sent that ball in, perhaps looking at a shot for a point, but it did drop short. It looked to be dangerous for Tip on occasion, but Waterford did really, really well to deal with it. But again, another, I'm not going to say easy free because it's from the 65, against the breeze, but for Cotavan, another shot at the goal, and, really eats into all that good work that Waterford have been doing at the other end.
So she's going to be on the 65 metre line. She's about 5 in from the far sideline, being watched by the Waterford mentors and the players. This ball is dropping in. It looks like it's going to be short into Brianna O'Regan's hand, and Brianna plays a short ball out, and I think she could have launched that one. Might be okay though, is it? No, Claudia McIntyre is doing very well there defensively, getting in to try and stop Waterford building, and well done Claudia McIntyre. Got a goal in the opening stages, has a point to her name as well, and she wins that ball back and gives it to Devan. Devan now an opportunity to give it inside. It's going to be a shot coming off from Emer Lockman. Ball has gone over the bar, and that's all down to the work of Claudia McIntyre.
Yeah, absolutely. Brianna O'Regan did really, really well to gather that ball, but as you said, probably should have launched it to got out of the danger area, but instead put Chevelle Harney under severe pressure from Claudia McIntyre and ended up conceding the point at the end of it.
Yeah, bit of a giveaway there from a Waterford point of view. Curran now looking to play this ball over here on this side of the field, looking for O'Sullivan, looking to spin in well though Falconer instead. Falconer still going now. Vicky looking to launch this ball in. It might break for the Ciara O'Sullivan inside. Ball though is being watched all the way by Quiva Burke. Quiva starting in the nets today, of course. Anya Slattery, All-Star goalkeeper 2020, on the bench as Tip struggling to maybe deal with this initially. Look like they're going to get this cleared eventually. Ball down along the wing here now. Looking for the number 24 that's in, Emer Heffernan from Knockavilla Kickham's, but the referee says there was a foul committed and it's going to be a chance for Shona Curran. Top Bet Carton would have fancied that from distance, and Bet has been told, to take that.
Yeah, Waterford maybe trying to create something quickly there, Shauna Curran, and trying to get maybe a bit of a 1-2 with Bet, but on reflection decides to leave it to Bet. Not an easy free out on the sideline, but as I said, 2 expert free takers here today, so you wouldn't put anything past them.
Good angle there now as Luke, our cameraman, is watching the action. Bet Carton going to send this towards the left hand upright. Will the wind drag it in? Oh, it's just touched away. And in fairness, Cueva Burke, it was quite brave there with the upright coming towards her to be able to knock that ball away.
Yeah, it was a really dangerous ball, you know, one of those ones that dips at the last minute, maybe with the breeze behind it, and looked to be heading for that top corner. And as you said, Cueva Burke really, really brave to it and stood up well, and I think took a heavy knock for her braveness.
Yeah, I think the post and maybe Mary Ryan in there as well. It's she took a little bit of a knock. Referee John McDonough just calling halting because he wants to be sure that maybe she didn't make physical contact with the post. He's just making sure, I would imagine for concussion regulations, everything like that she is okay. Great credit, Cueva Burke, though. That ball could have sneaked into the top corner there.
Yeah, and we had a great look at it from our angle here, and it did look as if it was dipping, and she needed to be alert for it, you know. And Cueva obviously aware that Anya Slattery is waiting in the wings there, maybe not too anxious to stay down for too long, and she was back on her feet.
No question, as Cueva back up and going. 2-13 to 7 points as Tip get ready to make a change. It looks like Emer Lockman has been replaced. And just wait and identify the player that's come in. Looks like number 27, is it? It's the long hair of Eilish McDonald is just covering her number, but it is her. And, she's in there in place of Emer Lockman, who just got a point for 7 moments ago. Here's an opportunity though for Waterford. It's worked out with nothing. Opportunity blocked away, and the chance gone a begging for Shauna Fitzgerald. I think she saw her name in lights, but it was a good hook by the Tip defence there. And a good bit of play. Aoife McGrath ends up being fouled, and it's going to be a free out. But there was Tip now have been in a situation where Waterford have one-on-one opportunities, but they've snuffed them out twice. Yeah,
Tip did really well there again, and you know, Shauna Fitzgerald did really well to get on the end of it. Thought maybe she took a little bit too much out of it and opted to go back on her left, and maybe in the Tip player coming in on her blind side could probably have stayed going and maybe struck off her right. But look, the opportunity presented itself, and you know, Waterford are causing headaches for Tip there at the minute, but so far Tip have been dealing with them.
And would you say, you know, is there a mixture of everything here? Have Tip taken the foot off the gas? Is the breeze a factor? Do you think Waterford have stepped up a little?
Waterford have definitely stepped up a little, and you know, as you would expect them to. I know we've mentioned it during the first half, but you know, that was their first 30 minutes of competitive camogie this year, and maybe they've forced themselves to step up the pace after half time. The breeze is obviously a huge factor as well, and I think Beth Carton being out around the middle of the field, she's pulling a lot of the strings in there, and the full forward line are working hard then to give her a target to hit when she is in possession.
Trying to get on this ball is Emer Heffernan from the puck out from Cueva Burke. Ball is played inside. She did very, very well under pressure from a number of Waterford players. Ball is played in by Irina Friday. Might break, but it's well read there by Abby Flynn. But the ball has been coughed up, and here's Devan now. Devan sees an opportunity. She doesn't need a second knock, and the ball though breaks away, and it looks like the Waterford defence have done enough, but you give Cot Devan a sniff and she's going to either take the goal herself or set it up for someone else. Yeah,
did really well to lay off a quick hand pass there and just didn't go straight to hand, and Clodagh Carroll, to her credit, got back quick to snuff out the danger and eventually fouled and relieve a little bit of pressure for Waterford on this occasion.
You'd have to say credit to Cueva McCarthy there, had to sidestep 2 Waterford players and the referee. But unfortunately possession coughed up, and it's Niamh Rocket now looking to knock this ball long. Ciara O'Sullivan in behind, and it might work out. The break though, Mairead Evanston using all her strength and guile, but the ball is being coughed up though, and an opportunity maybe here with Shauna Fitzgerald. Could she offload it? Beck Carton, is she thinking of a point? She's thinking of a score. She is putting it over the bar. Maybe the angle to be snuffed out was gone there with the goal opportunity, with Moll Ryan just cutting off the opportunity, but the ball is tapped over the bar, and as I think John McDonough is not calling the water break just yet. A little bit better from Waterford as they go on to 8.
Yeah, and definitely Beck Carton definitely did think about maybe heading towards the goal there and maybe testing Cueva Burke, but opted then to take the point and keep the scoreboard ticking over for Waterford, and definitely better from them in the first opening 14 minutes of the second half.
Vicky Falconer then has returned to the Waterford setup, but her race is run after 44 minutes here. Number 27 coming in for Waterford is Mairead O'Brien, one of the All-Ireland winning under-16 B team from a couple of years ago. She's getting an opportunity, and have to say the height of Mairead is going to be a factor in there in the full forward line.
Yeah,
Very
and
tall girl.
Waterford have put in a couple of high balls there in the last few minutes, and Shona Curran obviously a target in there, but you know, Mairead will be a new one there now.
Yeah, looking to make an impression as Waterford look to come out from the back now. Bit of pressure on, but good bit of play and a good call there by Sabale Harney, knocking it down along the wing now. Looking to find her clubmate, Niamh Rocket, the captain of course from St. Anne's, but it overruns her, and it's Tip going to clear out from the back. Looking to keep possession here now. Over on that far side was Walsh, but ball breaks on the ground, and John Dermody, the linesman on the far side, says that that's going to be a Waterford ball and a chance to relieve a little bit of pressure. Referee then decides it's a water break as we're just about to take that sideline. So calling time on the water break here. It's 2:13 to 8 points. 5 points to 2. Bit better from the Dacia.
Certainly, yeah, and look, they needed a response, and I suppose we would have expected it. They haven't, as yet, I suppose, troubled Cueva Burke's goal too much. You know, a couple of half chances maybe that they'll be disappointed they didn't do a little bit better with, but certainly they're working more fluid and they're moving through the lines a lot better. And as I said, Beth Carton out around the middle of the field, Shauna Curran drifting in around full forward line, and Niamh Rocket. They've probably got more from Niamh Rocket in that opening 15 minutes than they would from a lot of the first half. And look, let's face it, if Waterford are going to do well, they need Niamh Rocket on the ball and need to be creating those scoring chances. But you know, promising up front as well from the likes of Sarah Lacey and Abby Flynn and Ciara O'Sullivan, Vicky Faulkner, both sniffed in around that full forward line. But ultimately, Tip dealt with anything they really had to, and the comfort, I suppose, of being that far ahead on the scoreboard.
Sure, Bill Mullaney might be thinking as well, would he run one or two more in, I would imagine, between now and the end of the game?
Yeah, I think so. Look, Bill will, like as we spoke last week after the Cork game, you need to use the league, I suppose, to see what you have as well, and they're up to the pitch of the game now, and it'd be nice to to run his bench and see what he'll have there for championship.
Just see as well, you come to matches now and you can see all sorts going on, and just in the background there, I assume it's one of the member of the S&C group or the backroom team anyway, and a Tipperary player going through the paces, so maybe recovering from injury and everything being done, or maybe it's part of a warm-up routine. We might be seeing that Tipperary player. I just can't identify from here, but just goes to show you every opportunity made, I suppose, when you get the players together. And if I presume a player, if they're coming back from any kind of injury assessment or anything like that, is an opportunity to do it today here when you have the chance. Yeah,
in the team environment, I suppose coming back from injury can be a long and lonely road, and no more so, I suppose, than the last 12 months when it's been COVID struck and everyone has been on their own, I suppose. But when you get the chance in a team environment, and there was a really good shot during the week, I think, of Katie Perr ahead of their game last weekend doing her prehab as she comes back from that injury last year. I think Billy Culleton had it up on a lot of his social medias in black and white, and tough time for players coming back from long-term injuries, but great to be involved in the team environment.
Yeah, no question. I think Tip have made another change. I just saw paper being sent down to the fourth official, but we'll confirm that in a minute as Niamh Rocket tries to get on this ball now ahead of Clodagh Quirk. It's been an interesting battle all game. Ball is sent in towards Mairead O'Brien. Ball is lost by Burke. O'Brien is there on the ground. She has it in her hand, then she lost it, and the Tip defence look like they've got back in numbers. Burke has an opportunity to backpedal to the goal line. Ball is loose and in, and there and winning it is the lady that came on, Eilish McDonald, getting this ball out, and it's an opportunity for Tip then to get out from the back. And a good bit of play by McDonald, just stood off the back of the pack, and then when the ball broke, she was there to be able to pick it up.
Yeah, and came at real pace as well.
Good opportunity as well with Jean Kelly. I think it was the one that came out with the ball there eventually. As this ball breaks out, Keely Corbett Barry in there, but also Lorraine Bray. Lorraine looking to come out with it, the Cappoquin player down along the wing here now, looking for Mairead O'Brien. And Referee says she committed a foul there. And limping away from that is Julianne Burke. Don't think she'll thank Mairead for a bit of pull across there. So
yeah, really well contested ball down the line there. The clearance from Lorraine Bray and both players coming at it full tilt. And so Mairead O'Brien will be a little bit disappointed she didn't collect it first time. Got her hand to it, but just couldn't get full control.
Arena Friday played that ball in. She got 3 points in the second half against Cork the last day. She was looking for Claudia McIntyre over on the far side, but John McDonough said that it was a foul committed by Claudia McIntyre. Sabine Harney, not sure she could take that one quickly, and now John is obviously not happy with whatever chat Claudia gave him, and he's going to, I think, take her name and possibly a card here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was going back in to tell Chevelle she couldn't take the free quickly from her hand, but obviously a little bit of back chat, and he wanted to go in to deal with that before he allowed the play to develop. Chance now for Brianna O'Regan with that breeze behind her, maybe to put Waterford on the attack at the other end.
Waterford needs something now to happen because they've 10 minutes of normal time remaining. I'd imagine there's going to be at least 4 or 5 minutes of additional as the ball breaks over on the far side, and it's won by Ciara O'Sullivan. Has really come into this game, but I suppose with the breeze in the first half, wasn't a whole lot the full forward line could do. Bet Carton now playing the ball backwards. It wasn't a great ball though because Moll Ryan was in there to disrupt it a little bit. Here's a chance out for Karen Kennedy to get forward, getting away from Abby Flynn, cuts inside. Kennedy puts the head down and still going, looking to deliver this ball. We'll think of the score, popping the pass in. Brianna O'Regan though drops it. Got to be sure of it. Comes out between 2 tip players. Still coming Brianna O'Regan, quite strong as she comes out and is able to offload this ball. Late tackle going in there on the Waterford player. John McDonough didn't spot it, and it's going to be the tip defence that deal with it again. Strong run now, coming from the back. Looks like it's Jean Kelly that's coming on the attack here. The Rogan Carty player dropping this ball in. Brianna O'Regan underneath. She drops it again. One-handed flicks the ball away to Lorraine Bray. And Brianna O'Regan, I think, is feeling her hand. So maybe she picked up a knock there the last time. And maybe that's why she didn't deal with that ball too comfortably the second time. Ball breaks off of Kate Lynch though. Could be a chance for Kennedy again. Nearly diving for the try line to maintain possession. Did that very, very well. Tip looking to build on it again. And here's Devan. Devan now will look to punish Waterford for that effort. Puts the ball towards the post. But would you believe it? She is fallible.
She's human after all. What a shocker. Credit to her to get the shot away there. She had made a great run off Karen Kennedy's shoulder there when Karen Kennedy's late surge on the previous shot and just hadn't got the pass back, so had continued that run there again from deep and did really well to get the shot away, but obviously didn't finish it quite as well as she would have liked.
Brianna O'Regan has gone down on one knee at the post there. Don't know if we can get a close in on that yet, as I don't know whether she's just getting a bit of spray on the hand or something like that. She definitely took a knock to the hand and then wasn't able to catch the sliotar when it came in. And as we see, another change being made both on both sides. And I think it looks like Caoimhe McCarthy has gone off for Tipperary, if I'm right. And I just see, looks like Waterford trying to introduce Aoife Fitzgerald. So good Galtier representation here, as you can imagine. Team that's been challenging for county, provincial and All Ireland titles in recent years, as this ball is down towards the head of St Anne's Niamh Rocket. It falls to De La Salle's Beck Carton, looking to release Lismore's Shona Kern, but it's flicked away by Mary Ryan. No nonsense, get it out of there.
Yeah, real full back play, but again credit to Beck Carton. That was a fantastic ball. The quickest look up, saw Kern making the run and tried it through the eye of the needle to just hop it in front of her there, but equally experienced Mary Ryan, a full back, happy to just put it out over the sideline and clear the danger.
Shona Kern was just about to line up to take the sideline cut and she was removed from duty. Not sure whether that was the cleverest decision at that moment in time, so she's off the field of play. So lineswoman is quite happy that she's gone off the field.
And Shauna probably would have fancied her chances, maybe had a 2-pointer from there, a really good sideline taker. So
Sarah Lacey gets a cut in the door, knocking it in towards the lady that's just on the field, number 23, Aoife Fitzgerald. But the referee says that there was a bit of a wildness there, as Mary Ryan, using all her experience, drew that foul, knocks it up along the line out to Nicole Walsh, looking to hand pass it off. Good run. You'll have to credit the tip number 24, Emer Heffernan, with that, knocking the ball inside, looking for an opportunity here. But referee has pulled it back. John McDonough, I think he's given the tip free, is he? Unsure with the signal that he was making there. I think it is going to be a free in for tip, and he reckons it was some kind of pull back at the hurley there, and it looks like there's going to be a yellow card given to the Waterford player as Tip make another switch. And that's a yellow card for Keely Corbett Barry. And I think Emer McGrath, who got that fine goal just before half time for Tipperary, is being called ashore.
Yeah, and credit to the Waterford full back line. You know, they've been under pressure for a lot of the game today, but coming out 50-50 there and contesting those balls with the tip full forward line, you know, and risking it, and on that occasion, I suppose, giving away the free.
So, Cotavan puts the ball over the bar. Brings her tally today on to 11 points, so one better than last weekend against Cork. I suppose the reason why her scores have slowed up is that maybe Waterford haven't conceded as many frees, but also I'd imagine the wind conditions, everything, she struggled really maybe to get in scoring positions in the second half.
Yeah, and Waterford are definitely working harder out around the middle of the field, and you know, there's probably not the same supply of ball going in there as was going in the first half, and definitely not the same quality of ball that was going in.
So, ball is on the ground there. I don't know what went wrong. So, Waterford player ended up on the ground, but yet John McDonough elected that it was a tip free, and he gave Niamh Rockett, whether she was late after that or something, gave Niamh Rockett a yellow card. All of a sudden, John has flashed out a couple of cards there in quick succession as Cotavan gets on this ball, gets away from Kate Lynch, sends it towards the post. Has she got another one? She has. And all of a sudden, Cott has got two on the bounce.
You know, and as a back, I suppose you think you have Everton done. Cott has getting the ball, but she's her back to the goal. She's travelling away from the goal, and suddenly she twists, pivots, makes a load of space for herself, and swings one over like that. You know, very hard to defend a forward of that quality.
I haven't seen too many quick puck-outs here today. Just John McDonough's kept the game at a certain pace. As Tipperary Waterford were looking to launch quickly there with Brianna O'Regan. Ball touched away, and the scoreboard, as you can see, sees Tipperary on 2-15, Waterford on 8 points, as they have been since the water break. Ball drops in, but Brianna O'Regan has time to pick the ball out over to the far side, looking for Niamh Rockett now, as we said, in a tussle with Clodagh Quirk all day, and Quirk ends up on the ground, and that has been a right battle going on there, and then Rockett ends up being dumped on the floor. So I don't know whether there was retribution going on there in some way.
50-50, they both come out in the same result. I suppose Waterford will have the free, but yeah, great battle in there, and two fantastic players. Quirk, a really tough teak defender, and Niamh Rockett, like, we know the potential she has as a forward for Waterford, so a hugely contested battle there today.
Oh yeah, Arena Friday saw an opportunity, I think, to line up Niamh Rockett, and I think he's also gone over and had a chat. John McDonough, did he give a card there to the number 24, Emer Heffernan? I was just looking at it. I'm not sure Emer Heffernan was the worst foul.
No,
I think
it was
with a frontal shoulder.
I think the minimal contact rule may be taken to another level there. It looked to be more like a shoulder to the chest rather than anything else. And
absolutely. I think Arena's maybe lucky to get out there. Just unfortunately for Emer Heffernan, she's the one that picked up the yellow card.
Yeah, and Shauna Quirk, unfortunately, there now following that collision is leaving the field and looks to be injured. So maybe just a precautionary measure from the physio team and from Bill.
Yeah, it was in that fairly. It looked innocuous enough anyway. As we were watching it as they went for the ball, maybe she got a flick of the hurl from Niamh Rockett. There's another change happening. There's changes all around the place now, of course, as bench has been run in. Opportunity. Beck Carton elects to go down the wing as they try to work a goal. I imagine that's all they're searching at this point. Try to play it back there towards Niamh Rockett, but ball breaks. And eventually Beck Carton getting back on this ball, looking to step inside Karen Kenny. Oh, good bit of play by Carton. Lovely bit of skill. Puts it on the end of a hurl, pops it up and pops it over the bar. That was worth the admission price alone.
Yeah, look, I spoke about Cotavan making space for herself at the far end a few minutes ago. Beck Carton did so well there. Took the ball really well and past Karen Kennedy, and again in along the end line. Her touch is taken, did really, really well to maintain control. That slid all the way around, and was probably looking at putting it a little bit lower if she could have got a bit further inside, but a great score.
Niamh Rockett now looking to spin inside the attentions of Jean Kelly there and putting the head down and going forward. Has a bit of support, but elects to go for a long range effort. She's pulled it though to the right and wide.
Yeah, when Waterford have strung passes together up front there, they have looked like, they are a team, as we said, there's 13, I think, of the names from last year's championship still there, so they are a team well used to playing together, and, obviously a game will bring them on, and they're looking now to Cork next weekend, and they need to get something out of that game, so, they need to finish strong here today, and something to work on for the week ahead of the Cork game.
Looked like the knuckles were wrapped there for the Tipperary player. That's number 11, Nicole Walsh's tip, or Waterford look to come forward. It's Mairead O'Brien. Has she got her first senior score? I think she has, and that's a good score for her. I have to say, a very tall player, and she's well able to win and take on her own ball.
Yeah, good solo effort there, and she had been fouled further out. John was playing the advantage, but had the confidence to stay going and take her own score. And, that's what Waterford need now, is a couple of players up front willing to put up their hand for selection and to get their names on the scoreboard.
But the disappointment for Derek Lyons will be that's their first score since the water break.
Yeah, absolutely. From where they went, in a good position up to that water break where they had a lot of possession, and I suppose they just didn't make a count on the scoreboard and probably have allowed Tip to just stretch the legs another little bit there now.
Good play by Nicole Walsh after getting the knuckles wrapped. Was able to get that ball off there and give it to Lorna Dwyer, who's in on the field, and also in on the field is Grace O'Brien. As this ball is played forward. And it's Ciara O'Sullivan getting this ball back now to Sarah Lacey. Lacey looking to play this ball. Rocket was peeling off there, was thinking about maybe something big, but the defence for Tipperary have dealt with it now. And Waterford have committed a number of players forward. Looking for a little bit of backup. Abby Flynn is trying to make it back there to disrupt the attentions as Brianna O'Regan takes this ball in. Has dealt with that very, very well. Plays it over to the far side though. Who's going to win the race there to be able to keep it in? Shabelle Harney does that and does it very, very well. Stepping inside her player, giving it off now to Lorraine Bray. Bray, another fine game in the Waterford jersey, playing the ball down along the wing. Might work out if Rocket was able to get onto the break there as Carton was trying to flick it onto her. Ciara Sullivan was in to help out. Carton is in a bit of space. Rocket is screaming for it inside, but the ball is instead coming across this side of the field where it's picked up by Sarah Lacey. Lacey going to have a shot from distance. It's a good score if it goes over. That's a fine score from Sarah Lacey.
Yeah, and she's been one of the Waterford players that has really impressed her today. Worked really, really hard in the first half, no matter what position she was playing in, and got on a lot of possession. Could probably have had a point at the one before, but opted to play it into Niamh Rocket inside, and it just didn't come off, but continued her great run there, and happy to take the point on that occasion. So she has been a standout player for Waterford today.
2:15, 2:11. We're on to 62 minutes then in this game, and John McDonough, of course, will be playing the 2 minutes of water break, and then whatever injury time as Waterford look to push, maybe to put a goal on the scoreboard, it would look good. As Tip look to build out from the back now. Changes on both sides. Tip have definitely introduced higher volume of players in the second half, as they knew probably that the points were in the bag. Opportunity to run the bench a little bit for Bill Malani. And as you mentioned, can't get to play too many challenge matches or anything like that, so for Waterford now it's going to be Cork next, and then a difficult few weeks as they prepare for championship. As Beck Carton plays this ball in, dangerous ball now in inside there, trying to win it. Ball was flicked away from Rocket, but here's O'Brien now looking to flay the ball across Rocket. It might work out. Looked like it was just taken out of her hand though by Moll Ryan. Kept her eyes on it, came out well.
Yeah, Mairead O'Brien did really well to win that ball there. Popped it to Rocket. Looked like she'd lost it, then it looked like she took it back in, and suddenly Mary Ryan emerges from the crowd with the ball in her hand and frees up the Tip defence.
Well played Clodagh Carroll over there as she tried to give that ball to Sarah Lacey. Lacey trying to hold off the attentions of the other number 6, and that was Karen Kennedy. And in fairness, Karen Kennedy did that very, very well. Don't know whether Karen ever shepherds a sheep or anything like that, but she shepherded Sarah Lacey and that ball out over the line very well to win a sideline cut for her team. The ball is played back into play now. Tip over on the far side of the field, looking to maintain possession, come forward with it. Might try and get a late score. Devan from basically her back to goal, dropping a dangerous one in. Referee though says that it looks like it was a square ball there, maybe pointing the finger at Grace O'Brien.
Yeah.
So Brianna O'Regan looking to knock this long. Hopefully you've enjoyed the action here on the Littlewoods Ireland Twitter page and also on the Camogie Association YouTube channel. drop us a comment or whatever. Don't forget we'll have another game to come up next weekend as Tip worked that well, and it looks like young Eilish McDonald has got onto that and put that ball over the bar, and that's a fine score. They worked it very intrinsically there between them.
Yeah, really, really well worked score from Tipperary. Got through about 3 or 4 sets of hands there before they got Eilish into the score position, and had the confidence against the breeze to take her shot, and a good score from Tip, and just keeps the scoreboard ticking over and stretches their lead again.
Good score from Tip there. Bringing them on to 2-16. I don't think the scoreboard operator saw it here in Clonmel, but that ball definitely over the bar from Eilish McDonald. And we're just looking at the replay there. And the pop and the pass, I have to say, they've worked it very, very well. And even though the attentions were coming in, Eilish McDonald, the nod came from the umpire and the flag was waved, bringing them to 2-16, and that's on the scoreboard here now in the Clonmel Sports Ground. Is Beck Carton trying to get on this ball. We haven't seen a whole lot of Bet in this game because, in fairness to Karen Kenny and Mulrine, she's dealt with her very well. And there is John McDonough seeing enough. The points going the way of Tip. They are into a quarter-final place then in a couple of weeks' time. That's their league campaign as such done and dusted. They've played Cork and they've played Waterford. Lost one, won one. So they will advance. Waterford, well, of course, even if they were to beat Cork on the head-to-head, they would lose out having lost to Tipperary. So the scenario here is that Waterford's season, unfortunately, in the league situation is it's a tough ask, isn't it, realistically? Although I suppose championship is probably what lots of teams are orchestrating and lining up for. So I'm sure Derek Lyons will use the game against Cork as well to try out things and have a look at players again or whatever. He'd probably be more buoyed and happy with the second half performance.
Yeah, definitely. There will be positives to take from it, and as we said, and I don't think you can overestimate it. It is their first day out, and with a new management team, it's tough enough having put in the last 12 months that teams have put in with established management teams, established strength and conditioning teams. But when you're a new manager coming in with a new backroom team and trying to get to know your players, trying to get them to train individually, I suppose, when you don't really know the players themselves, you haven't met them in person, and then you come back with 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks of training under your belt, and you're faced with a do or die game against Tip, and Tip haven't had the experience of being in Cork last week. So a huge ask, and as I said, probably shook a little bit in the first couple of minutes with that early goal, and just never really recovered after that. So they'll have to take some positives out of the game, and they look, I suppose, to get a performance in Cork next weekend. The league, I suppose, traditionally would have been a place to blood new players and get managers to lead stuff, but whereas in this game they've only got the 2 games in this group games, so it's harder, I suppose, to learn anything from them, and Derek then will have to rally the troops, regroup, and I suppose really, as you said, they're probably looking at championship from here on in.
Just conscious of your player of the match, I suppose, from a Tipperary point of view, number of players on show. Waterford probably in the second half, we got to see good performance at centre back from the likes of Claudia Carroll, Lorraine Bray, Sibyl Harney. They would have led the kind of the surge in the second half in the forwards. Bet obviously was going to be in there. Rocket was trying hard. Credit Sarah Lacey, kept plugging away also.
Yeah, I think Waterford, when they look back on it, will have had a couple of stand-up performances. That full back line, had their hands full there at times today, but, probably came out 50-50 in a lot of the battles back there. Kate Lynch, followed Caught ably for the hour, but a huge player, and Clodagh Carl, Lorraine Bray again as always was solid at the back there from up front. That second half, Niamh Rocket got to the pitch of the game and caused some problems up front. Sarah Lacey, I thought, was really, really busy throughout, and Mairead O'Brien, when she came on there, posed a different kind of a threat and got her name on the scoreboard.
The likes as well then for Tipperary in defence, I'd imagine, Mary Ryan, Karen Kennedy went about their work. Emer McGrath got a fine goal, probably, was in about quite busy. Nicole Walsh also as well. Arena Friday covered probably every blade of Clonmel out here as well. And sure, of course, Cottevan, when you score 12 points, it's a fine return. And maybe credit Claudia McIntyre as well with a fine goal also. Yeah,
I think Tip had a good mix today, and that's probably something that Bill is looking for. We've spoken a lot about Caught and how dependent they have been on her over the years, but they got a good spread of scores today from Mary Ryan. A full back got up for her point, and it's a solid set of backs in Tip at the moment. They're really established. they're used to working together, and I suppose that showed there today. They snuffed out a lot of the chances that Waterford could have had a new midfield partnership, and I think they'll be happy enough with that. It was definitely an area they needed to work on after the Cork game last week. And up front then, as you said, Clodagh McIntyre with her 1-1. Arena Friday was so busy all over the field. Emer McGrath finished that goal so well when she got the chance, and Nicole Walsh got through a load of work again. But look, you can't look past Cottevan, I suppose, with a return like that. 12 points. She's just outstanding on any given day.
So Cottevan will be our player of the match, the number 14 for Tipperary. So hopefully we'll hear from Cot shortly just to get her views on the game. Always a lady that's well able to talk a fine game as well as played. But as you can see on the scoreboard there, Tipperary 2-16, Waterford 11 points. Again, Bill Maloney we would have felt him, had some positives out of Cork the last day in the fact of how they played after the water break. You'd have to say that maybe Cork were making changes and so forth, but it's their first day out. To learn a little bit of thing about players. He makes a few changes coming into today. Obviously, he's trying to find maybe a midfield pairing in an effort maybe to free up a couple of other players. They hit the ground running here, and I suppose they had Waterford by the throat then, and they never really let go in lots of ways.
Yeah, and there would have been a nice little bit of history, I suppose, between Tip and Waterford over the past number of years. They've met a couple of times, and Tip had knocked Waterford out of the championship, so Tip would have been under no illusion as to the challenge that was coming here today. But as you said, had the experience of Cork last week, probably did a lot of learning from that first 45 minutes in Cork last week. Like we said, Bill himself said afterwards he thought their hurling was on point coming into that game. Learned quickly enough that it was well off the pace of what Cork were doing. So you learn that, and I suppose he was lucky that he got to learn his lessons last week and had the opportunity to correct them this week. Waterford, on the other hand, didn't have that opportunity until the first half here today. And when you concede 2-11 up to half time, it's hard to try and to rectify those wrongs, I suppose, in the half an hour when Tip are always that little bit ahead. And I just felt today that anytime the pressure came on, they were able to just push on and get the score to just stretch them ahead. So he'll be happy with the run out today, and look, it qualifies him for a quarter final and another league game, which gives him another chance, I suppose, before championship.
From a Waterford point of view, I see Derek Lyons having a long chat over here as we see our camera is trained on them. They're always a side that you'd show a certain amount of interest in and whatever, because they have a good crop of young players and a couple of stylish hurlers as well. But today a little bit chastening, I suppose, in lots of ways, because I'm sure they would feel that they would be well able to give Tip a game in recent years. They've probably let themselves down in championship a little bit in the last couple of seasons, but have shown glimpses. Today would be a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, I think you'd have to be a little bit disappointed, firstly to concede 2-16, I suppose, and to give Tip the start that they did. And like you said, there's a good tradition of camogie there in Waterford the past number of years. They've had good minor teams, as you mentioned. Galtier have been doing really, really well in club championship, and St Angela's and the Ursuline have won a couple of schools All-Ireland. So, those players are all coming through, and I suppose it's to try and blend that and take it to the next stage. Adult camogie, I suppose, or senior camogie is a huge step up, and championship is a step up again. So, a big introduction for a lot of those players to this level of camogie. But as you said, well established as well. 13 of that team that played in last year's championship were playing here again today. So they'll be disappointed, I suppose frustrated more than anything else, just to find that one thing or that couple of things that's missing, maybe just to push them up to being consistently competing at the top level.
As we're looking at the Waterford team then have their chat and whatever, you see the Tip extended panel that I suppose, as they talk about now in S&C circles, I presume if you are a final quarter player, you end up having to do a bit of a training session afterwards. And I'd imagine, looking by the cones that are being laid out here, there's going to be a bit of sprints involved, I think.
The only consolation I'd have if I was in that group is I still have my helmet and my hurls. There might be a little bit of hurling before they go running us around the place. But yeah, judging by the size of the cones now, I think there could be a few sprints on the cards.
We'll be, as he said, hopefully hearing from both backroom teams and also from the player of the match. We've given it to Tipperary's Cottevan, but we might just take a wee break for the moment. Stay with us, because as I said, we'll hear some reaction from both camps after these.
Our game is about more than sacrifice. Our game's about style.
Camogie is the fastest field sport in the world.
In our game, we play and create with flair.
Push, all the way through, really good.
We break records, smash ceilings and shatter expectations. We live with our own expression. We turn our style into art. We set real squad goals. On and off the pitch. We follow trailblazers and legends. And our game is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We forge our own path forward.
We want the new personal best. Come on, all the way, all the way. Yes.
Because our style is substance. And our style is here to stay.
The man you see on screen is Derek Lyons, the new manager of the Waterford senior camogie team. A chastening kind of performance in some ways, Derek, on your first day out.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, we knew we'd have work to do. Tip having the advantage of the game last week, I suppose, stood to him, and I suppose that showed a little bit more in the second half. We settled into the game a bit better. Didn't have the advantage of the wind, I suppose, as well. It didn't help us. So, yeah, we needed a lot of things going right for us at the start, and it just didn't happen. And conceding an early goal, I suppose, set us back a little bit as well in terms of our preparations for the
Yeah,
game.
because I'm just conscious you're coming in here today, your first touch has to be right and everything like that, and then you get stung by a goal in the first 20 seconds and you have a breeze to battle as well.
Yeah, you've said it all there in one. Like, I mean, what worse could have happened, you know, my first game as well being involved. But look, in fairness to the girls, they plugged away. I mean, yeah, look, I mean, overall you'd have to say we're disappointed as in the round, but in the second half I think we took a lot of positives out of the way we played. And another day maybe teams' heads could have dropped and maybe there could have been a much higher score against us, but they put the heads down. I think we won the second half on the scoreboard, so that's as much as you can ask out of the girls. Look, and look, we're acutely aware of how much work we have to do going forward. Like, I mean, there's a misconception I think around there that Waterford are one of these teams that should be reaching quarter-finals every year or semi-finals, and like, we're not under any illusion. Like, we've a load of work to do, you know.
Looking at it as well though, now, you know, you face on to Cork, and then you have a situation, you know, of sitting out waiting on maybe how way championship is going to work out for you and so forth. That must be kind of hard to plan now. Keep things kind of ticking over, let's say.
Yeah, no, look, in fairness, it's no different to any other setup. I mean, like, that's the way it is. Every other team is in that same boat. We have a match next week that we have to win if we want to progress in the league. And if we don't, we have another match to play in a round-robin relegation setup, like, you know, and we'll have to utilise every single opportunity we get now to progress and be a better team come championship. Like, and as I said, it's all about making progress this year, and progress doesn't necessarily mean getting to an All-Ireland final. Progress is about bringing the standards up in general across the whole team. And it's like, look, I can't fault the girls' effort today. Tipperary were the better team, deserved their win, and you know, we just have to look at that and say we were beaten by a better team, but we have to just keep working hard.
Let's just look at a few positives before we let you go then. An opportunity to blood a few players, a couple of players back in the setup and all that, so you must be quite happy with some of their performances.
Yeah, overall, look, I mean, in fairness, and we've made a lot of positional changes. I mean, this team is pretty much made up of most of the team that they had last year, maybe even the year before. And look, we would have seen ourselves identify the need to make some positional changes. I thought, in fairness to Sarah Lacey, I thought was outstanding out around the middle of the field, a girl that has played in the full forward line, and a lot have been asked of her as a young girl the last couple of years. I thought she blossomed there today, and she's really put her hand up. And then the role for Kate Lynch to play on possibly their best player, you know, and I think she held her to a point or two from play. So there's a load of positives. Like, I mean, look, the scoreline is the scoreline.
Yeah.
You can't hide behind it, and we won't try. But what we try to do is learn from it and see what areas that we can try and improve on. And it won't be, those improvements will be gradual. We think, look, there's a lot of good girls coming through. We've got to introduce a minor there today, Maureen O'Brien, who's really good talent coming through, and there's some really good talent and really good work going on in Camogie and Waterford underage. So this is a progress. This is a mission, I suppose. We're starting out today with a bad result and possibly a bad defeat, but we'll keep our heads up and we'll plan now for even probably a bigger challenge next week against Cork. And that's as much as we can do.
Well, thanks indeed for joining us. Hard luck on your first game defeat, but still maybe lots to learn going forward.
Definitely, yeah.
Thanks indeed, Derek Lyons, giving us his views there, the Waterford manager joining us. I might get, Cot wants to jump in, does she? Yeah, we'll bring Cot along. She might have been anxious to get away, but we got her back. Cot Devan, congratulations, you're our player of the match. We were wondering, did you sneak into Clonmel during the week to be kind of getting an idea of the angles on the pitch here, because you were knocking over for sport there, especially in the first half.
Oh look, I don't know, thanks very much. Look, it was our second match out. I think last weekend was an eye-opener. You can do all the training individually, I suppose, during lockdown yourself, and I think we had maybe 3 weeks of a run-in collectively, but you go out then and you play a competitive match and it's a completely different ball game, you know. So we knew we had a lot to improve on from last week, and I think we were very determined this week in training to right some wrongs, and we had a lot of work on from last week, and I think we did that out there at different times. So we're just delighted with the performance and the improvements that we made from last week.
Yeah, you probably showed though, having that game under your belt a little bit, your touches were definitely ahead of Waterford's, definitely in the opening half.
Yeah, as I said, last week's game now was vital for us just to get to the pitch. At the pace of the match, you know, definitely. And look, Waterford, that's their first game out, and I'm sure next week against Cork they'll be much improved as well. They've a very talented panel there, and depth in numbers as well with the players they're bringing off the bench, you know. So you just can't buy competitive games, and everybody's just delighted to be back playing, and a lot of improvements being made across the board.
Cod, I know every time you take the pitch for Tipperary, you're a marked woman. You know, Aoife Murray, I think, made comment during the week that maybe Tipperary are asking an awful lot of you, of the position that maybe you were being asked to play at the moment. But you know, you seem to get stuck in no matter where the ball is anyway. So you know, what did you make maybe ultimately of those comments?
I didn't hear them comments now during the week, but yeah, look, I suppose I'm, unknowns to myself, I'm probably one of the older states women on the team. I don't know how happy I am about that, but look, it is what it is. I've been around a while, and the odd year I get tasked with taking the frees, so I suppose there's, I'm on the scoreboard a bit more, and your name gets tossed around a bit more, but ultimately it makes no difference. There's, every time you go out and play, you're going to get hit hard, and that's the way it should be. We don't want it any other way, and you're just trying to make improvements every year, and just see where that gets you. But ultimately, there's, as you can see there's girls out running on the field. Like we've a panel of about 35 players, and there's girls like clipping at our heels at training 2 and 3 nights a week. So we have to stay at the top of our game if we want to get a jersey at the weekend, and that's what's driving us on.
Obviously, now my last question to you, the way the season's going to be condensed, it's going to come very quick and fast, even into the championship and everything. Where Tip, or where do they want to be? That like maybe you just fell at a certain hurdle again last year. Is it to get over that hurdle now? Is it the final that really you want to be seeing yourselves in and testing yourselves ultimately? Yeah, definitely. Look, I suppose we're making improvements, but we still haven't won anything, and that's something that we're all very well aware of, and there's no such thing as moral victories anymore, and we want to be mixing it with the best year in, year out, and we are doing that now, but ultimately the end goal is to win a trophy, and that's our task at the start of each year, and this year is no different. Well, Cat Devan, you're our player of the match today. Congratulations, and best of luck for the rest of the competition. Cheers, lads. Thank you. That's Cat Devan giving us her views then on the encounter here as we wait on Bill Mullaney then to come in to wrap up the reaction from the encounter here between Tip and Waterford. All fierce friendly between the management teams here.
There's no fighting, lads.
Bill, we talked in Cork the last day, and you were, I suppose, buoyed in some way going out with Páirc Uí Chaoimh that you had learned a little bit from the last quarter, that you had maybe found something, a couple of players came in and maybe made a little bit of a difference. Where are you now, having stepped up here today, and really, the first half you blew Waterford out of the water?
Well, as you say, we came out with Cork last week, finished very positive. We found a lot last week of style of play. Going into it, we thought we were going well. We were trying things as well, but as you know, until you get out in your first game, you don't know where you stand. And Cork are a good test, Kilkenny, Galway, all the same as well. So look, we adjusted and adapted for this week, and put in a couple of players, played. I suppose you could say into Waterford's faces, we were putting pressure on all over the field from the corner forwards all the way back, which is, look, you can't leave any team, even particularly like Waterford as well, stand off you. They'll score all day. They're a very good team, they're aggressive, they're strong, but I thought we came today, we hurled positively, we hurled from the front, we forgot about our mistakes from last week, and we wanted to win, and we wanted to win the game well too,
In a pitch that you obviously wouldn't be too comfortable or know a whole lot maybe about it in some ways, you looked very comfortable on the surface, and definitely that first quarter, you were playing I'd say some of your best hurling maybe of the last 12 months in some ways.
Well, yeah, I suppose in phases of the first half there we were hurling well, ball to hand. We looked like we knew what we were doing anyway, but it was coming off for us, and the pitch was great. In fairness, we have never hurled here before. I was just talking to a couple of girls before the start. They'd hurled here when they were 14, and nearly all played football matches here at some stage of their career. But fabulous conditions, fabulous pitch, and I thought it was fair and fabulous for both of them, and fair play to Clonmel for hosting it for us. I think we'll be back here more often. But as you say, a good pitch, it led to wide open hurling too. You could get into space, take on your player, and if the score was on, I thought we took them well, in particular in the first half.
Just getting to it then, the game starts off, Bill, when you come out and you felt the breeze, was it maybe a part of your kind of plan then to make the most of it? And you started quite well then, obviously, with the goal. You were chipping away scores, as I said, in that first quarter. They were just coming for fun. That lead ultimately, it was too big for Waterford then to overcome.
Well, with the breeze, you have to take advantage of it too, and if you remember last week, the same girl got the first attempt at a pint against Cork, Clodagh McIntyre. Today she converted it, and that's the way it goes, yourself. And but we did play well. you have to make use of the breeze too, or the conditions, because as you know, in Ireland, like in the second half, the breeze could be gone, or
could change direction.
Yeah, change direction. It could go across the field, or it could be raining in one half the field and not the other. But look, we went out. If we won the toss, we were going with the breeze. That was it. Go out, start strong, and use the ball, take our scores when they're on. And I thought we did that well. Second half, Cork or Waterford put us up to us, and we struggled in phases. They really got in our faces as well, and we had to work hard for the limited scores we got in the second half. So, there's oceans of room for improvement there as well. And we have to keep improving every week and get through the league and try and keep adding more to our game and countering other teams as well. It isn't just about coming out here today and we're brilliant now. We're not. We have work to do, and we have hard work to do, and we know that.
So knockout phases build from here on in as regards the league. Anyway, I'm sure for yourselves you'll want to keep the games, keep them coming.
Well, that's why there was pressure on this today. We want the competitive matches, we want to be in quarter-finals, semi-finals and finals if we can. So, that was the goal today. Go out, do the job, do it as best you could, get the win, and hopefully drive on for a quarter-final. Look, anything could happen. Waterford could go out and beat Cork next week. We never know, because the rustiness is knocked off them today too. It's very hard to be the third team, and you have a bye week, at the very first round. The other two teams are maybe slightly ahead of you. So we're delighted with the performance. We're into a quarter-final hopefully, and we'll take it from there.
Bill, thanks indeed, and as always you're a gentleman.
Thanks
for joining us
here
this afternoon. Bill Mullaney giving us his views on the encounter, and Elaine, thinking about Bill down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh last week, he was quite positive going away. He seems to be a positive manager overall, but I suppose he feels I'm going out here again, positivity is his lot, with a few things to, I suppose, improve on.
Yeah, Bill is positive even in the weather. He wears a shorts every day. He's sure it's going to be sunny no matter where he's going. But yeah, look, I think he will have, and I think he might have given a little hint away there when he said, look, they were going to play with the breeze if they won the toss there today. I think they had in their head, look, Waterford will have that rustiness that we had last weekend, and if we can go at them from the start with that breeze, is probably a huge advantage, and try and put them to the sword as quickly as we can and work on our own things after that then. But the win ultimately was so important for them here today, and it keeps them in contention in the league. And like you said, both Caught and himself mentioned it there, competitive games, you can't buy that kind of experience, and that's what they want to keep coming at.
Looking at Derek Lyons, I suppose he has to maintain positivity despite the loss here. There might have been a little bit chastening on them today, trying to, of course, keep those girls on the positive ilk now to go on and compete against Cork. He did mention that they will still have game. We might have written off their league campaign. They will still maybe have a playoff encounter if that's what it becomes. But you don't really want to be getting caught up in a relegation kind of quagmire in lots of ways, and maybe get caught in some ways. Yeah,
if you're looking at relegation games, you're probably looking at them with one eye on them and one eye on the championship, and there's a chance, one bad result and you could go down. And like a team like Waterford, what you want is you want to be playing at the highest level, be that Division 1 league and senior championship. You want to be playing at that high level, and he spoke about the great work being done in Waterford and bringing those players on, and you want them coming on to a level where they can be competitive with the best, and competing against the Tips and the Galways and the Kilkennys of this world every week. So they ultimately don't want to go down in the league, and that's obviously not a route that they'd want to go down, but competitive games is what they need. And look, if they can get a couple of positives there to Cork next week as well, they'll look at Tip this week and see the positives in that. They'll know that they were rusty in the first half there today, but their second half performance was a lot better, and there was some really good performances from players all over the field, so they will have to take those positives and build on them for the week before they face Cork next week.
Yeah, could you see them troubling Cork?
Look, it's hard to see it. They played one another in the league under lights down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh last year before a Cork Ireland game when I was at it, and they did trouble Cork for long periods of that game, and I thought they played really, really well. So they will have to obviously bring their A game, but I suppose looking at Cork last week and looking at the Waterford performance there today, Cork still are those couple of steps ahead, you would imagine. But look, Waterford will need to get a performance. I think they'll park the result of today and probably park maybe even the result of next weekend before it's even taking place. They'll need to get a performance, and like you said, they're building now probably for a championship, and they have to keep their eyes on that.
Okay, well, you've seen Tipperary twice then in the last week here, and hopefully you have enjoyed the action, especially if you're a Tipperary fan. You probably feel that, well, there's a lot of positives coming out of Clonmel Sportsfield here this evening as you build on for the latter stages of the league. With my thanks to Elaine Aylward, as always, doing a great job on analysis, to Luke and to Shane, and to obviously David pulling all the strings in the background. I've been Killian Whelan. We'll have more action next weekend. I believe we might be heading into Cúnta Uafáile next weekend for a big encounter there. We'll confirm all those details during the week. So if you're watching camogie, keep an eye on the Camogie Association social media and also on the Littlewoods Ireland social media accounts. But my thanks to all the crew again. Good luck to you.
Our game is about more than sacrifice. Our game's about style.
Camogie is the fastest field sport in the world.
In our game, we play and create with flair.
Push, all the way through, really good.
We break records, smash ceilings and shatter expectations. We live with our own expression.
I am the best.
We turn our style into art. We set real squad goals. On and off the pitch. We follow trailblazers and legends. And our game is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We forge our own path forward.
You want the new personal best? Come on, all the way. Yes.
Because our style is substance. And our style is here to stay.